If the British Empire and its Commonwealth last for 1,000 years, men will still say this was their finest hour.
We stand for Queen,
country, and video games. BRB UK.
Worse teeth,
better accents. Hello, and indeed an E3, or something along the lines to that effect. And welcome to the BigRedBarrel UK Podcast, episode 248. I'm Coleman. Hi! This here is a very special episode of the BRB UK Podcast, because it is that most wonderful time of the year where all us gamers hold hands in unity and watch the spectacle that is E3 2017. I mean, we don't watch that every year. It's 2017 this year. Last year it was 2016, and then next year it will go up. And it keeps going. That's how years work. We're doing a massive show, much like we did last year. If you missed out last year and you didn't listen to our E3 show, that's fine. We're doing another one. So what happens is different companies go out and they do big conferences and they show all their new games and all their new tech, and we watch them and then we talk about them, and then I have to go edit those, and then at the end we stitch them all together and put out a mammoth show. And that means you get an extra long podcast and we get very little sleep. But that's okay, because it's E3 and everyone's excited. We've got loads of energy. And as the show progresses, that will fade. Now we better start off because, like I say, these go on for a while, so we expect a couple of hours at least. We're going to start off with EA Play, because EA, they don't do the E3 anymore. They do EA Play, their own thing, happens a day earlier. And then after that, we get the 3 days of E3. So it's technically 4 days, but we're going to do 3. It doesn't really matter. You're going to hear it all after this here noise.
The wall. It's our armor. It protects us from what lies beyond. But out there, you either live with the choices you make, or die trying to change them. The story doesn't end here. It's just the beginning.
Hello everyone and welcome. Yeah, we're going to jump straight into a bit of the EA conference. Basically, it's E3 2017 and they've just finished watching the first conference of the year, which was EA. And before we jump into any games, let's introduce who's here. On my left, I have Alex.
Hello?
And not quite on my right, I have Ryan.
Hello.
Hello, sir. And right, yeah, so before we get into any particular game, let's do an overview. What was our sort of takeaway thoughts about the whole show, the whole presentation of EA?
I should have stayed and played Overwatch.
That's definitely a fair comment. It was genuinely quite disappointing. There were some really good moments, but generally it was quite poor. They didn't really do that much, which is surprising.
I think underwhelming is the word that I came away from it with, basically. Definitely underwhelmed. Especially as one of the games they focused on the most was obviously Star Wars Battlefront 2, which was interesting. We'll come back to that. But then other than that, like, they leaked Payback, the Need for Speed, well, not leaked, they already announced Need for Speed Payback, which was the only other big game they really concentrated on. And there really wasn't much else other than the annual sports franchises, basically, you know?
Yeah, and I don't know how about you, but Star Wars managed to put me to sleep the way they did Star Wars. How's that possible?
That's surprising. I felt really good watching the trailer part, and I think, was her name Jenna, the presenter for the Battlefront bit, she was actually really good.
She was good. The gameplay was... They kept cutting away, like, as soon as someone actually got into action, they cut away to someone else, and wait, I was waiting for that guy to attempt to shoot that dude.
Yeah, that's the problem with having a live stream and... you know, trying to jump cut between different people. Like, they kept on jumping to people and then they'd just get shot, which was generally my experience of the first Battlefront, to be fair. But yeah, look, I don't know. I think that's a hard one because the first game had a lot more impact on the visuals and everything else. Whereas this one, it could look as nice and that still wouldn't be anything we haven't seen before, so it's not that as exciting.
I think, the story mode looks really good. I think that the main takeaway from the Battlefront thing is that they've actually listened to feedback. I think they've got a bit of a reputation for just rehashing things over and over and over again. I think they definitely tried to push their reputation away by saying, look, we've done your feedback. Here's a story mode. Here's split screen. Here's all this other stuff.
The big news there as well, which is kind of a bit anti-EA, well, anti their reputation, however unfairly or fairly kind of thrown at them, but the fact that they said they won't be dividing the community by having paid DLC, that every bit of content that is new levels, new people, new weapons, everything will be free to everyone. Which is not only great news for a consumer in general, is exactly as I said, good news for not splitting the community. That was my big problem with that. As soon as they released other stuff that I wasn't quite willing to pay for, I wasn't really willing to pay the game as much, basically.
Well, it's interesting because they made a big point about Battlefront doing that, but then with Battlefield, they talked about a new expansion. They didn't clarify whether that was free. I highly doubt it with the way that they marketed it.
The fact that they didn't, and the fact that they kept on saying it's how big it was and everything, it means possibly not. But at least that they were talking about there being 3 times as much content than the original Star Wars Battlefront now in Battlefront 2. It was definitely short on content, and it's difficult to know whether they're counting the single-player content as part of that 3 times as much.
They definitely will be.
I would imagine so, but even then, that still means that there's hopefully twice as much player content and levels to play split screen in as well, basically. So that could be good, at least.
I'll tell you what was the most exciting thing for me about the conference. Except for Anthem, which... Let's face it, we haven't clearly been shown anything about Anthem, really. But The Way Out was something that I was genuinely really excited about, and that looked really, really good.
Yeah, anyone that didn't see is kind of from... Was it Two Brothers, the previous game?
Yeah, Brothers Tale of Two Brothers or something.
And I'd heard praise of that game, the previous one. I didn't actually play it myself, but... This looked like a complete co-op experience where 2 players either split screen or across the internet generally playing together, cooperatively solving the way around. And they did seem to be saying that, there'd be a different way of playing, and it looked like a variety of gameplay styles and like different problems you were solving in the environment and stuff. They seem to be saying that, you wouldn't be doing the same repetitive thing again and again, basically.
Well, they seem to have been saying that the 2 main protagonists have different ways of approaching the same situation. Yeah. And depending on who you decide to go for to solve that particular puzzle, that's how that puzzle will end up resolving itself through talking your way through it or punching your way through it, basically.
Yeah, and it looked like, as I said, they had 1 player in a cutscene at once and another player, actually still active in gameplay. And yeah, I can see that working well. And the only thing I'd say that was a disappointment on that side of things was that was literally pretty much the only surprise. As you said, Anthem will come back to you in a second, but...
Wasn't a surprise.
No, but literally, the only surprise was the No Way Out thing. And it was a bit disappointing that seemed to be the only game that wasn't, one of EA's already in-house AAA type things. It was just that, basically.
Yeah, there was no other Star Wars games. The Amy Hennig-headed Star Wars open world game, no mention of that.
Yeah, I was really hoping to see more of that, yeah.
No Skate 4 or anything like that. It's surprising that when it sort of just prematurely ended after the Battlefront 2 multiplayer demo, I was like, is that it? Is there not one more thing, Mass Effect Andromeda DLC, or something that at least someone could grab onto and take away?
It seemed to be really missing an end note, like a big crescendo type thing.
Which I think they were hoping Battlefront 2 is that crescendo, but generally it wasn't.
Yeah, and as I said, to me, it looked nice and it looked good, and they were obviously showing the Separatists battling the clone troopers, which is kind of 2 possible. And it'd be nice if you can have different factions and different things, but they didn't really make it clear whether it was just, if you're battling in Theed, which is the level they were showing off, whether that's just what you get and it's just those 2 sides against each other. It'd be interesting to see whether you could play different eras playing in the same space and whether that changes the equipment that you've got access to, or whether it's, in the previous game you basically just had kind of, the set pieces for Empire and stuff like that.
They did have Rey in this one, so I think it's interchangeable.
Yeah, but, you got heroes that were going back and forth, but whether you'll get completely different sides and whether it would be balanced for that and stuff would be interesting, and whether then you can mix and match, whether you could have, Separatists versus Rebels, or, just different eras going across different things, or how they balance that. But also, the other thing I'm interested in is how much of the content that's a third as much as they had previously is just recycled from the first Battlefront as well. And I'm saying that not necessarily saying that this would be a terrible thing to do, but if they put a refined and improved version of the AT-AT level in the beginning of Empire and stuff like that, recreating that battle scene, that was quite cool. Are they going to not have that in this game? And if so, is this going to be less of a game because of it type of thing? Or will there be all new levels? They didn't really talk about that side of things at all yet, basically. So
yeah, they left a lot of questions unanswered. And just to quickly go back on that point that you said about having different factions within different eras, I don't think you will.
No, I don't think you will.
Based on the original Battlefront 2, which this game seems exactly like the original Battlefront 2 and what Battlefront should have been when it came out again, because with that you could have heroes interchangeable because you could just pick any hero, however the factions would stay as they are. So I mean, just rebuy Battlefront 2. It's like a $5 on Steam.
Yeah, but that was part of my underwhelmingness for this as well, that it could literally have just been more DLC for the first game. And I think they really need to make a bigger degree of separation. And as I said, it's difficult to know whether they will be recycling things. Like, the one thing that I'd really like them to definitely recycle is the trench run stuff that they had as DLC, because I'd be interested to know, like, you know, what diminished factor of people that bought the original game actually even got to see any of that content, sort of thing.
I mean, to be honest, I think what will make or break this new game is actually the story mode, because I've played a lot of Battlefront, the first one, and then I went away for a month, and when I returned to the game, I realized I can't play it anymore because I am just dying all the time, and everyone in the game is just so much leagues and leagues and leagues ahead of me, I just can't keep playing. So the thing that would make me come back to it and replay to it would actually be the story mode, and will keep me interested, because they might be giving out more content, and yes, it will be free, so a lot more people will stay, but this is the kind of game where the skill level cup just grows at one point, and then the mere mortals, aka me, just can't play that game anymore.
I do think they could do with a kind of a different area to play in for people that don't want to play as competitively but still want to play competitively with games. But anyway, that's more of a general point somehow. But anyway, let's move on from Star Wars, because, as I said,
we tried to, and then you turned us back onto it.
A little bit underwhelming, but let's see how much else other information we get and how much other content we get and exactly go. The one thing I was disappointed in that, though, just as a final note, is that when this does kind of lead on to another, we didn't see any mention of any VR content, which I was a bit disappointed on. No mention of any VR content in Star Wars, and no general mention. I kind of predicted that there might be some VR stuff with their sports stuff this year, but no mention of VR whatsoever, basically. Disappointing for me. But yeah, let's move on to Anthem as well, because that was something you were really looking forward to.
Yeah, well, I've been hearing it about for ages, and to be honest, I kind of forgot that EA press conference was happening today, because otherwise I'd be normally really hyped for all the BioWare news. And then came today, and they were like, yay, we have Anthem! Check out more with Microsoft!
Yeah, it was a huge Microsoft plug. Even doing the whole Project Scorpio thing was just a bit like,
yeah,
all right, that's a bit of a weird relationship. But then a lot of their games had PlayStation pre-rolls.
Yeah.
So it was a very sort of disjointed one. They sort of were like, yeah, Microsoft's great, and then but still had their PlayStation connections. It just seemed a bit bizarre.
It to me was very, very weird, because if you look how many times during that press conference I've actually screamed, stop talking and show me the games. Their conference, about 70% of it was fluff and them talking about how great games are and how gamers are great, and full of generic bombastic statements that mean nothing. And then they had pretty much 3 or maybe 2 new things that nobody's really seen before, because we kind of knew about Star Wars Battlefront. Yeah, we didn't really see the multiplayer stuff. Need for Speed, yeah, FIFA, Madden, blah 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 blah. I've seen them all before. Sportsy, kick a ball, whatever. And then they had The Way Out, their EA Origins game, and then they had Anthem. And, okay, they did quite a bit of the first one, and then their kind of biggest reveal of the new IP, they just gave away to Microsoft. We're like, yes, for that conference.
And spent a bit of time, as you said, Ryan, talking about Scorpio without giving us any other details about Scorpio or how it's actually making a difference to
and
their
it
games.
probably won't be called Scorpio much longer either.
Well, yeah, until tomorrow that'll be out there.
Until tomorrow, yeah.
But then, yeah, like, I do think it was a bit of a mistake. The biggest news they had to announce here, as I said, they'd already released the trailer on Payback. They'd already released the more exciting part of Star Wars, which was the single-person trailer. And to just have a very brief teaser, just giving you the fewest details on Anthem, without going into any, like, it was literally just, this is the type of universe which looks kind of futuristic sort of thing.
Post-apocalyptic, futuristic?
Possibly. Yeah. With mechs. I like a mech.
Halo meets Titanfall, that's what it is.
BioWare's doing armor really nicely. Show me the faces, please. Show me the faces.
I'm just so surprised that EA didn't have anything else to show off, which is showing almost what state they're in at the moment.
Yeah.
Where they can't fill a normal conference. I mean, they had this Men in Blazers thing, they had that YouTube personality who bombed.
Oh, that YouTube guy, I feel so sorry for him, but hey.
And then the multiplayer event, I mean, even, to be honest, the thing was, I was watching that Need for Speed thing going, this is Fast and Furious, just call it a Fast and Furious game. You'll probably make more money.
I've got no problems with that. I like an arcade racer. It remains to be seen how good this one is. Like, it's really funny with Need for Speed because they just hang the name Need for Speed on various different products, and it will be hard to know whether this one plays anywhere. A lot of people were drawing comparisons with Split Second, which I have no problem with. I really like that game. And obviously it's got the cops and robbers chasing stuff, so a bit Hot Pursuit. But that was the weird thing. Like, they showed a mission where you were kind of stealing a Koenigsegg from the back of a truck and going through different races to do so, and there was different Hollywood moments, and they seemed to have the takedown mechanics of Burnout, like the later Burnout series type things, or a bit like Split Second where you're sort of mashing into cars and they're slow down and blow up and stuff like that.
You mean where you use your car to blow them up, but your car takes no damage whatsoever, which was the big takeaway from me. I
don't know, I just think that's a gameplay mechanic that we've already seen, so that wasn't exactly exciting, but I kind of liked that style of game basically. So as I said, it's difficult to know with Need for Speed at the moment, but yeah, that was okay. But Ryan, are you a fan of sports games at all generally?
I am. I mean, FIFA's going to be fine.
Yeah.
I don't play Madden normally. NBA Live, they're probably still about 5 years behind 2K. 2K
Yes.
have got that series sorted.
Let's see if they don't cancel this one this year.
We'll see. I mean, chances are it didn't look that great, and when they did the presentation, the guy doing the demo didn't look particularly happy that he only had a couple of minutes.
Yeah, that was really weird as well. It was like, hey, look, you can dribble and then dunk. It was like, okay, that's a basketball game. Well done, guys.
Then they did that seed thing where they talked about how they're doing game changes and they're looking to change how AI works, and again, pompous.
But again, that was just development fluff. It didn't mean anything, or they didn't have anything of any substance to show that had come from it, so it was fairly meaningless to us at the moment. That seemed odd.
The whole thing was just odd in general. I think EA didn't really seem to know what their conference was. It should have been a lot more organic than it was, but every time they cut to something, the music cut out, and it just seemed like they hashed it together at the last minute because they needed to do something. I
kind of, as you said, expected to see the more information from Amy Hennig's kind of Star Wars, and got a bit of information about a Star Wars game that I do play, which is Galaxy of Heroes. And I play the game, I like the game. I was underwhelmed by what they were showing. It didn't help that I don't know about it was just our end, but the music seemed to cut out on the initial trailer that they showed, which probably didn't help them too much. But then, yeah, they were showing off one extra character, and it was just okay. And they seem to go at great lengths to explain, hey, this extra character's coming like every other character has come previously. It wasn't anything that special. It was just, we got one extra character and you can unlock him this way, like you have done with all the other characters we've introduced lately. It was really underwhelming within itself as well. Just, really? That's it? It's not even here now? It's in 5 days' time? And that's the one game where you could have gone, and he's available now type thing, and it would have been something, but yeah.
No availables
just
now.
Even that within itself was
only one, pre-order, thankfully, though.
So even, I think they said Star Wars Battlefront 2, there'd be a wider beta in August, I think they said. But, yeah, there wasn't really anything for fans at home at this point, but hey.
No. Well, we really should shoot off soon.
Yeah.
But before we go, can we just mention something we've kind of touched upon, but not in any great detail, is the Battlefield 1 new map and character and everything. Because, I'm not a Battlefield 1 player, but I'm biased because it's my home turf, and it looked lovely. And there was, a Russian woman actually speaking some proper Russian for once. Yeah. So, high five.
Nice. Rare. But yeah, I mean, as you said, they didn't give details on pricing of that, but hey, remains to be seen. But yeah, overall, a little underwhelming. Not the best start to E3 in general, but hopefully it'll pick up from here. And I think the thing you were most excited about from this conference is Anthem, and we'll hopefully get some more news of that in the Microsoft conference. So hey, at least we get that to tide us over. You're still anxiously waiting for that, eh? Just mechs. BioWare and mechs. It's all good.
They do nice mechs. Show me the faces. Show me the faces.
Anyway, cool. Thank you very much for joining us, Ryan, for a quick chat about EA. And yeah, thank you very much, Alex, for joining me as well.
You're welcome.
And yeah, we'll leave you here, and there'll be other guys back fairly shortly with the next conference.
They killed the power around the world. We're gonna light it back up, because this is far from over. In fact, it's only just begun. That's why we brought in you. You got the talent. Now you need the tech. Big things do far. Today, you throw grenades. Boom. Tomorrow, you'll be throwing cars. Forget dropping bombs. You're dropping buildings. Now it's time to get to work. Time to step up your boom.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Ryan. EA Play, not so interesting. But something that was interesting this year was the Microsoft, what are they calling it now? The showcase, they're not press events anymore because they're public.
I don't remember. Some people call them press events, some people call them direct, some people...
I thought they were experiences.
Well, that's probably what they expect it to be, yeah.
I think we should give them like a universal name.
Press conferences.
Yeah, press conference is good.
I like their montage of dreams where they forgot Halo.
That was a good moment. That was a brilliant moment. Anyway, I am Coleman. Hi! I am joined with sexy dulcet Irish tones of Mr. Diarmuid Scammell.
Hello there.
And Mr. Sir Bleezemus of Bleezey. He's a Bleezey boy. It's Bleezey.
Hi.
His last name's Bleez. Call him Bleezey. He's just a Bleezey boy. Bleezey boy!
I do have a first name as well.
Bleezey is your first name. Blue is your last name. You're Bleez Blue. You're like the Blaze Blue.
It's
very confusing. Yeah, the fighting game. Constantly mistaking him for a fighting game. It's really irritating.
I've never heard this.
Have you not? Okay. I'm glad I'm the trendsetter in your world of names. Anyway, we're going to talk about the Microsoft thing and talk about Xbox, Scorpio, Xbox X, and games and such. So we're not going to cover absolutely everything. We've only got a allotted amount of time for this section, but we are going to talk about the highlights and just what we generally thought about the show itself. So I'm going to start with you, Mr. Diarmuid. What did you think of the show in general?
I thought it was a very good show from Microsoft. I think they had quite a lot to do. They had to show off a new console, and they also had to show off a bunch of games that would make you want to buy said console. I think they did very well in the first part of showing the console and showing what it can do and all that kind of good stuff. That's really nice. However, for me, I don't think they've actually sold it. I don't think they have enough true exclusives to make me buy one. But I think for the people who were kind of interested in this beforehand, I think they've done enough to kind of, tip them over the edge. They needed to do a lot more for me to be convinced, but I think there's going to be a few people already pre-ordering this thing.
All right, Bleezey, what did you think?
Fairly similar. I didn't think it was as strong as you're saying. I'll be honest, I didn't really care that much about the Scorpio leading up to this, probably because I'm still playing on a 720p TV, so I don't understand why you'd even need that much power.
You would get ultra sampling though, not super sampling down to 1080. You get ultra sampling down to 720.
I might be able to read the text on screen.
Think of all that 4K compressed into 720. It's going to be you'll melt your eyes out of your cavities, my friend.
The actual games themselves, I was surprised by a few, but overall, I have a fairly niche. I know what I like. I know kind of what I wouldn't get on with, and I think it was actually quite varied. But because it was quite varied, there was still quite a lot that I went, that looks like a good game, but I will never play it.
Well, I thought this was definitely interesting in comparison to last year. Last year, like, their big headline was that they announced Project Scorpio, and everything kind of up to it seemed a little bit off. They showed off Dead Rising 4 and something was off about it, something was weird about it. Crackdown was noticeably missing. They showed off Scalebound's multiplayer and the trailer seemed a lot more shonky than the trailer we'd seen the year previous, and then since then obviously that's been cancelled. So going in this time, they just seem to have just blasted us with games, just games in your face. And some hit, some miss, you know, like I'm sure not everyone's interested in a Dragon Ball Z fighting game. There are a million of them out there. But I looked at that, I was like, oh, Dragon Ball on an E3 stage. That's really cool. I like the look of this. So, you know, they have some hits, they have some misses. The idea of upscaling Minecraft into 4K, that was pretty cool. And it wasn't
even blockier.
Because they've done Minecraft stuff before and they've kind of overhyped it because Minecraft is one of the biggest games in the world and Microsoft do happen to own it. But the console, we'll jump straight into Xbox One X because I do want to talk about it a bit. So the console, they've taken this thing, you know, Scorpio for a year. What is Scorpio? What is Scorpio? We've seen the system on disk. We've seen the dev units that track the frame rates and all this kind of stuff that looks really interesting. But other than the piece of kit, we've not really known much about it. Now they've shown it off. Xbox One X, pretty solid name, I thought. Xbox One XOXOXOXO. But it's actually taken me going, Scorpio, I'm not too bothered about it. Now I've seen it, I'm kind of intrigued and tempted to want to get one for myself, especially if that processing power is going to be used to better the games that we have. I thought when you compare this to the PlayStation 4 Pro event they did last year for Sony, that one didn't come across as they were relaying the information correct. Apparently all the people who were in attendance were like, wow, this looks really great, everything like HDR looks really, really impressive, 4K upscaling. But that didn't convey because they didn't show it on a 4K stream at home and you didn't have HDR, so you couldn't tell this kind of stuff. But I thought the language they were using and what they were showing really kind of emphasized what the console could do. So yeah, I thought it was a much better showing this year in games and in the console itself.
Agreed. I think the one thing for me was when they started talking and they had Kareem Chowdhury come out, who's like one of their head hardware guys. They started listing off the figures again, and I was like, don't do that. You did a whole Eurogamer Digital Foundry thing for this. We know the figures. Just give us the good information. Thankfully, that didn't last very long, and they kind of moved on to what's probably going to be the game that's going to be considered a must-buy if you're getting the Scorpio, and that's Forza Motorsport 7. So, I mean, that's going to be like, you know, one of the big games, as well as Crackdown 3 later on. But for the console itself, the name, I like. It's fine. I'm not hugely into console names anyway. It does the job. I think it sets it apart.
Fits their pattern.
Exactly. And the release date, November 7th, that's a decent time of year to be releasing a console right up in the run up to Christmas. So yeah, so far so good. We're just going to have to wait and see if they get maybe a few more games to come out to it, because as I said at the start, they did enough to show you this console and show you how good it is, but I don't think they really did you a good enough sales pitch to kind of say, and this is why you need it. I mean, I think they showed off some really good games, but the fact that you can play all of these on your One S or PC kind of shoots them in the foot a little bit, but I don't think Microsoft care whether you buy a game on the PC or Xbox, as long as you're buying their games.
I just quite like that one of the developers for a game later on came out and called it the X-Bun 1S.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the name that I call it from now on, because X-Bun is amazing.
We'll just leave off the Xbox One conversation with the price. It's $499 in the US, and over here I believe it's $449. Is that right?
Yeah, with the conversion rate, it's probably going to be $449.
As well, they did say that they're going to be doing a bit of a, much like with Sony and PlayStation 4 Pro, they're going to go through some older titles and convert them ready for Scorpio to make them run better and look nicer. So Gears of War 4, Killer Instinct, Minecraft, Forza Horizon 3, Halo Wars 2, and then there's a couple of third-party titles as well, like Final Fantasy 15, Resident Evil 7, they were shown off as well. And also the mention of backwards compatibility, getting the upgrade. It's not just Xbox 360 backwards compatibility. This year they're going to launch Xbox original backwards compatibility, so 2 games that I can play.
Well, what kind of was weird about that announcement is there's altogether about 3 games on the original Xbox that are worth playing because it had such a short shelf life.
And
like the Xbox, exactly. The 360 came out so quickly. It wasn't on the shelves long enough to develop a library that people would be really interested in. So it's kind of okay, fine.
I've only got one myself, and that is Halo 2, because basically the servers were going to get shut down, but you could still play on 360 for a while.
Yeah, I remember.
And I got it specifically for that, because I never had an original Xbox, and then the Halo Anniversary Edition came out with Halo 2 Anniversary, and I was like, well...
I don't need this anymore. Fling it across the room.
I just kind of put it back on the shelf, and I went, I'll see you never. You'll just be there forever now.
All right, so let's talk about some of the games that were on show. I very briefly mentioned Dragon Ball Z, which I think is the one we all wanted to talk about, so we'll just put that aside now. PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, that's been doing some massive waves over on the PC circuit.
That was a good get for them. That was kind of well thought out.
Is that console exclusive or just...
I think it's going to be launch exclusive. They haven't actually outlined this, but I don't remember what the trailer said at the start. I was looking out for that. Anytime it said console launch exclusive, I knew, okay, timed exclusive.
Yeah.
But I don't know what it is for this one, but that is a good get.
The official listing on the Xbox website just says Xbox exclusive, so I'm assuming they have the actual exclusive, not a timed. You mentioned Forza Motorsport 7. It looks pretty. What more do you want? I'll look more forward to when they do the Scorpio version of Forza Horizon 4.
I like the Horizon games more than the Motorsport games, just because I can't do the racing sims.
Yeah.
But as soon as I started seeing bits of it, I went, they're going to show a car. And then they showed a Porsche 911, which looked like every other Porsche 911 with the little bits of plastic stuck on it. And I was just like... yeah, they showed a car again.
Everybody drink!
I need a much more arcadey game. Myself and Tim are playing I don't even know if we're allowed to talk about it yet. We're playing a sim driving game at the moment, and it's just like constant sucking at it. Because we're both more like Need for Speed, Forza Horizon players. So.
That's what I was explaining during the conference. We were watching it, and I was like, the reason that I like stuff like Need for Speed and Forza Horizon is they feel fast. You can watch any sim game, and like, for example, the Forza 7 footage does this credit. It looks slow, even though the speedo might say they're doing 100, but it looks like they're doing 40 on some roads because every car is traveling roughly the same speed. There is no point of reference where you're going, that is quick. And that's personally why I don't get on with sim games. The other one is I'm terrible at them, and bashing into cars is my best way of getting around a corner.
Right, what did you guys think of the Sea of Thieves footage?
It was good. I like the humour in it. It's clearly a game that's meant to be played with a bunch of the same friends kind of over and over again. And that seemed fun. Whether it'll sell will entirely depend, I suppose.
At the beginning of it, I was like, I'm not really interested in this. It just looks like it'd be a bit of a fad. It wasn't actually the footage that was winning me over. It was being in a room with people saying, but we could do this and we could do this, and we know that you'd steal the ship and fly, go towards the horizon and stuff while we're, on the land. And I was then going, okay, I start to understand what, kind of niche they're going for, and that started to win me over more than the actual footage itself. I think it more just depends on who gets it that I know than anything else.
Myself, personally, I've got this weird thing of, so when Rockstar brought Red Dead Redemption out, and I had this sort of weird moment I used to live with a lot of people, and I went out to buy it, and I was very excited, and they're like, what's this? It's like GTA, but with cowboys, and and you want to play that? I'm like, dude, something you don't know about me? Love cowboys. Also love pirates. Any kind of out-of-fashion type thing that I used to watch as a kid, swashbuckling movies and stuff.
So anything old and dated?
Yeah, pretty much. I'm a hipster, basically, for TV, I guess, and movies. But a while ago, Disney announced they were making a Pirates of the Caribbean MMO, which wasn't, everyone's Jack Sparrow. It was meant to be a serious pirate online game, and it got cancelled 2 years into development. I was a bit gutted about it. And then I was hoping Rockstar would basically do what they did for Cowboys with pirates, and then somewhere down the line, Ubisoft attempted it, tied it into Assassin's Creed, worked really well. Still had to be an assassin. Didn't quite like that bit, but I still got to be a pirate for a while. So announcing Sea of Thieves, I saw great potential in it. Showing it off now, again, I see great potential in it, but I'm not sure if it's something that I want to pick up, purely because I'm watching this and I'm watching people mess around and stuff and go, this is exactly what I wanted out of No Man's Sky. But as a pirate, I guess. But I don't know what the end game is. Like, is there an end game, or are we just continually going out and diving for treasure and avoiding sharks?
It seemed to be because they had the clues and stuff, it seemed to be you were on a long quest, and every time you did one step, it unlocked more of the quest. And I guess maybe it's every time you log in, you get a new quest, or... I don't know, I'm speculating at this point.
The particular highlight I did like when he loaded himself into a cannon and fired him at the enemy ship. That was genius.
Oh, if I ever did that, I would miss the ship by miles.
Yeah. Quick mention to Crackdown 3. It looks like Crackdown, but Terry Crews was in the trailer, and that was awesome.
And that's what sold it to everybody, I think.
Pretty much. I was like, oh, Crackdown, I've seen this a couple times. I played one of them. I'm not sure. And then Terry Crews turns on the screen. I'm like, day one pre-order. Not sure if he's a character, but I really hope he is.
He actually is. That was it. Because I saw the trailer and I was like, oh, because it went starring Terry Crews. Terry loves yogurt and we love Terry.
And they just went, Terry, just be you in the Old Spice adverts, but hold a rocket launcher.
Yeah, when he showed up in the trailer, I was like, oh, he's just in the trailer. It's not going to be him in the game. But it turns out he's playing someone called Commander Jackson in the game.
Okay, then yeah, I'm probably picking that game up then.
Footage itself, it just looks like more Crackdown, but there's nothing wrong with that as long as they don't go too weird like they did with Crackdown 2 and do more Crackdown 1 type thing. I'm excited. Coming out on Xbox One and Windows 10 on November the 7th. That's the one that's going to use the power of the cloud for big explosions and city buildings falling down and stuff. So that looks really interesting. There's also a new Metro game, Metro Exodus.
Yeah, that looked really, really pretty. That looked really good. And the fact that they mentioned it was running in engine before the demo started, that was really impressive.
Basically, I did a study on the Metro style of the games at uni, and then basically, like, I picked it out immediately. I think it was like within 3 seconds. I was like, subway tunnels, gas masks, Russian-looking stuff. This is a Metro game. Because I've not played the Metro games, I've only seen the style. I was like, this looks really pretty. I've not played a Metro game, so I don't know whether I'd like it, but it looks really pretty.
Metro is often hard, really atmospheric, really interesting, and very depressing.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
But watching the trailer...
It looked quite fast-paced.
It looked very scripted, and very much like when they first showed off the gameplay reveal for BioShock Infinite, and none of that appeared in game. That's kind of the vibe I got with this. I think we were looking at one hell of a vertical slice before. Like, if the game actually plays like that, I'll eat a book of some description, because I hear that's what you're meant to do now if you get something wrong.
I've heard. I've seen video too.
But there was a giant bear that fell off a cliff.
That was pretty cool.
You're telling me
like
that's scripted?
Yes, I think that was scripted. Assassin's Creed Origins, that's finally, the leaks have been confirmed. It's in Egypt. Seems to be going back to its roots a little bit. They've brought back the horseplay. They've added an eagle that works as a drone, or the eagle in Far Cry Primal. A lot of Ubisoft tropes like blending into each other.
I might play it. It depends on when it comes out and what games are around it. It looked like an Assassin's Creed game, you know. It did, I suppose they couldn't really stray too far from the fold in terms of how the game plays, and they couldn't go much further into the future in their mainline series, because we were getting to the stage where guns were becoming a bit too prevalent, and it kind of defeats the purpose of the exactly. So it was one of those things where going back was a good choice. The setting itself is interesting. It's not something we've seen in many games before. And the gameplay looks fun. But yeah, I don't think there was anything that's going to convert anyone who wasn't an Assassin's Creed fan beforehand that this is the game they need to get. But at the same time, they still have a huge following of Assassin's Creed fans who are going to pick this up. So either way, I think people were going to be happy enough with it.
Yeah, that's PlayStation 4, PC, and Xbox One on the 27th of October, and then Xbox One X on the 7th of November. Yeah, I've got like 3 other Assassin's Creed games I'm still playing through, so probably not a day one purchase.
Yeah, I don't think I've completed one since Brotherhood. I started playing Black Flag, but the problem with Assassin's Creed games is I liked them for a while, but then they did get a bit formulaic, and then it gets really hard to play something that you're like, I've done this before. I've done this a lot before. I think
3 was the one that I last finished, and then Black Flag, I probably could have finished it if I didn't spend all my time being a pirate.
You thought it was a different game, though, so did you even leave the ship?
No, I didn't. As soon as I got in the ship, I did not get off again.
He only got off to collect the sea shanties. That was the only reason.
Exactly that. We're going to have to burn through the last ones just to get to the BioWare game that Bleezey really wants to talk about, because we are running low on time. So I'll just quickly chop off the Shadow of War. They showed off another demo to that. They introduced an Aussie orc called Bruce the Chopper, which I don't know if that's a reference to Chopper Reed. If it is, genius. Really like that. He was very funny. Adding a comedy element to Middle-earth Shadow of War is a great idea. Also, different settings, so everything's not grey and dingy. There's quite colourful looking vistas around you. Looked really nice. Cuphead has been dated. State of Decay 2 looks great. Deep Rock Galactic, loads of other games. Life is Strange prequel, that's been shown off, a 3-part series. I know Alex was very excited for that, and me and Tim were very bemused because we haven't played Life is Strange because we're too old, I think. That is we don't like saying hella.
You guys are hella old.
We are hella old, that's it. Bleezey.
Yes.
You got a game you want to talk about?
Yes, I do. Moving on to Anthem, I kind of fell in love with it immediately because it didn't look completely unique, but everything that I saw, I liked where it came from. I think we were kind of had these jokes running where it was just like, it looks like Destiny, but with a bit of Evolve in it. And then they started doing the wingsuit bit, and Diarmuid turned around and was like, they took bits from Steep as well. And I was like, I'm on board for this. And then they were just like running around, and they did have the whole kind of very polite gamers in the chat type thing. And I was just like, that's not great.
I thought that was a lot closer than Ubisoft used in the past to actual people. Like when she picks up her loot, she's like, come on, please.
And then she went, yeah, it's a such and such. I'm like, the problem with naming guns, though, is until the game comes out, no one knows how good the gun is.
But you know by her reaction that that's a good gun. She's excited.
Jacob's something, Revenge or something. Yeah, we were kind of making a few jokes throughout just how it was basically Destiny and all this stuff. And then, like, I rewatched the footage this morning, and the scars, which are the ones that she, like, blows up from the hillside, they all sound a lot like the Fallen from Destiny, just saying. Like, and then they moved on, and they were running through the storm.
I thought they sounded like Daleks.
But they were running through the storm, and then, like, the 2 other people landed, and I think the whole room gasped, and they went, it's Destiny, but with 1 more player.
Yeah.
I really liked it. I thought it was really pretty, and I think the style of it is really good as well. Even the bit at the beginning, I'm assuming that it's just a pre-rendered trailer, but there were a couple comments made about facial animations actually looking like a real person.
They had their A-team animation team on this one, not the B-team.
But it just, everything about it, I really liked the look of it. I liked how the mech suits look very different. Not even just stylistically, it's like what they do as well.
He had the big brute kind of character that looked like the Hulkbuster that had the big missile that fired out of his back and decimated an entire area.
What I like is, so it was rumoured for a while that BioWare were working on Destiny Killer, if you will, and Anthem does seem to be along, straddling that line very closely. The Javelin suits, what interested me about that is at the very start, like, you just see the players in the Javelin suits, and the guy doing the voiceover said, Javelin suits, you'll be able to have several of them. You'll be able to collect them. You'll be able to customize them. So it gives me this impression that, unlike a Destiny where you are locked down to your class and then 3 subclasses, I like the idea that you could just collect these different mech suits and pick and choose which Javelin you're going to go out in. If you want to be the giant hulking thing, if you want to be the fast one, if you want to be the crack shot sniper. Really cool idea, I thought. I'm wondering if this is going to be... They didn't say it's an exclusive.
It didn't say exclusive or timed exclusive either.
I'd say they just have the marketing deal, so you'll see possibly the same stuff that PlayStation has with Destiny, possibly exclusive missions and weapons and things like that, but I think it's going to be day and date.
I could see myself buying an Xbox One X for this game specifically. I mean, I can't really justify spending £450 on a console right now, so I would be waiting down the line and possibly getting it in a deal of some kind. This does look like the game that I would pick it up for. However, a lot of my friends, you two included, we play games online on the PlayStation 4.
I've got an Xbox. It's gathering a lot of dust.
If it was to come to the PlayStation 4, then and people picked it up there, then sort of vote majority, I guess, would drag me over.
Just do it down on it and get it on both.
Get it on both and do both. And
that's what I did with Destiny, actually.
Sinking over 2,000 hours on a video game.
But If I'm honest, I completely agree. If it was significantly showing like better performance on the Xbox One X, I think I'd actually consider getting an Xbox One X and upgrading my TV.
Because it's multiplayer online, though. I mean, I don't think, like, the performance of the console is going to matter of what kind of graphics you're pushing out. But almost your internet connection matters more. You know what I mean? So it's one of those cases where like a single-player game would do much better.
As much as I want to keep talking about Anthem, because I am very excited for Anthem. I didn't think I'd be, but I really, really am. I don't get very excited about BioWare games these days, so I was very interested. We do have to cut it short there, because we've got... Bleezey's got to go, and me and Diarmuid have to go off and do the Bethesda show now. So we'll be back with our good friend Kev. And so all round, really enjoyed the Microsoft program.
They forgot Halo.
Then they forgot Halo, so Bleezey gave it a -5 out of 10.
Anthem made it a 1 out of 10. It brought it back up.
All right, so Diarmuid, Bleezey, thank you for joining me on this segment, and we'll be back after this noise.
You, 1 strawberry milkshake, please. Oh, I hope you don't have a fire back there to put out. If so, I'll come back another time.
I'm sure the fire can wait, Commandant. 1 strawberry milkshake coming right up.
Fireman, I recognize your face. Very Aryan face it is, too. Are you at a Station 1?
There you go, Commandant.
Oh, vielen Dank. Now you, show me your identification papers, please.
Bethesda time. We watched Bethesda. We watched the Bethesda conference, the Bethesda showcase, Bethesda Land. I've forgotten what we called it. But anyway, I digress. Much like we did with the E3 show last year, I've got the select specialist panel of Bethesda boffins. We've got Mr. Diarmuid Scammell returning.
Hello there again.
And from the Barrelcast, super sexy Kevin White.
I have been hanging out in Bethesda Land. What have you been doing with your life?
Waking up at 10 to 5 to watch a conference and then go back to sleep and then feel like death. I did not feel good afterwards. I thought I'd be fine, but it did not work in my favour. Right, guys, before we go through the intricacies of the show, because we do have limited time once again, we're trying to keep these to 10-20 minutes. Didn't work so well in the last show, but anyway. So overall impressions, I'm going to start with you, Kev, as you are the Bethesda nut.
I'm not 100% sure they needed to do this year. I'm of the firm opinion that when Bethesda do a press conference at E3, it should probably only happen when Todd Howard's team's got something to show. That being said, I guess they needed to fill a slot, and they certainly did that.
I thought it was quite good. It didn't kind of overstay its welcome. It was nice and short. It kind of just... You had Hines out at the start, brief little introduction, then trailer for all of these different properties they have, ending with some of the really good games that we're going to talk about in a minute. And then it just kind of ended. And it was like... It was just nice. It was brief. It kind of hit all of the points that people were expecting them to hit. And yeah, I thought it was all right. Still, 5 o'clock in the morning is too early.
It is way too early. I thought it was really good. Again, didn't outstay its welcome. There wasn't anything too big, mostly sequels, mostly expansions and stuff. But I did enjoy it. I thought it was short, to the point. The whole Bethesda Land theme, I was a bit skeptical at that at first, but they kind of used that as its wraparound, I guess. Make it a bit... It kind of harkened back to PlayStation's conference last year, where they didn't have anyone out at all to introduce things. They just went to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing. And this kind of felt like that. Yes, you had the voiceover narration introducing each game and wrapping up each game, but I thought it worked really well. And I was glad that it didn't get bloated and overstay its welcome with what it had. Let's talk about... let's start with the biggest things, actually. So there's a sequel to Wolfenstein. The long-rumoured Wolfenstein 2, The New Colossus, has finally been unveiled. Set in 1961, you return as BJ Blazkowicz, and you are you're trying to stop the Nazis once again. This time you have the motivation of being a father-to-be.
And you're in America.
In, like, cool America. With Grebos and...
Man in the High Castle land.
Really interesting idea, I thought.
There was a sequence in that where he gets really off his face on LSD.
Loved it.
And that immediately sold the game to me.
Well, because it kind of, there was a moment where he's in a malt shop, I guess, and the Nazi officer comes in and orders the milkshake.
Oh, yeah.
And he's just like staring him up and down. And it gave me the vibes of the train carriage scene from the first game.
Yeah, and the scary woman from the train carriage scene is in this game as well, apparently.
Yes. Really interesting, I thought. The LSD thing, mainly because I don't know how drugs are going to play into this game. I don't know if we're going to have psychedelic trips while killing Nazis.
Oh, I'll tell you what, if it's just a bunch of acid flashbacks hitting you at random, that'd be amazing. I don't think it will be. I think it'll be one sequence, but I would love it if they actually brought acid flashbacks into it.
There was the whole and it was the kind of the top of the trailer where he drops his acid and then like a little cartoon 2D chameleon appears.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Careful, little buddy, it's dangerous out here," and starts running off with him. One, that made me laugh, but using the 2D on the 3D rendering, I don't know why I've not seen that before, because that looked like a really cool effect.
Yeah.
Yeah, that looked good.
You know what? In the last game, we got to go to sleep and fight Mecha Hitler in Wolfenstein 3D.
Yep.
So it makes sense. I love everything about this.
I just love the tone, like the fact that, yeah, he's a soon-to-be father. It was clearly kind of a little serious during that scene. And then there was the one where there was the dud grenade, just to kind of,
yes.
She's a weird sense of humor, that kind of thing. It's like, I love the kind of, the mix of everything that was thrown in there. I'm really looking forward to it. Really looking forward to it.
I came away from that scene thinking, I suspect I'm going to like this character.
Yeah. I really like the kind of mix of I assume they're rebel type forces characters. You got like the preacher type guy, you've got the Black Panther type woman with the afro and the grenade, the guy with the metal arm who's just like smashing food into his face trying to control it. Really good moments, I thought.
I love the preacher bit purely because like right behind him there was a sniper set up and you just see bullets whizzing into the room and he's just like, yeah, just talking away. It's fine.
It's easy to forget that Wolfenstein: A New Order was a fantastic game that it had no right to be. And this game looks like it's well on the way to just following that up in a perfect way.
Yeah, I've recently re-downloaded Wolfenstein and the Expandalone game. Was it New Blood?
Old Blood, I think, yeah.
Old Blood, New Blood, same blood.
Was not as good as the core game.
Oh, okay. Well, I've still got to give it a go.
Yeah, I mean, you should. Don't get me wrong.
Good. The other sequel, the other big sort of headline thing was The Evil Within 2, which was surprised to no one because that's been leaked a lot as well. There's been voice actors. It's been put on LinkedIn that they were working on it. All these different kind of leaks about it. But we hadn't really, we only really seen the name The Evil Within 2, not any kind of assets or things being shown off. Does anyone know if Shinji Mikami's coming back for this, or was that just the first game?
I think he's still attached, yeah.
I'm just looking at a Polygon article at the moment, and they mentioned that he's back as a designer, so...
Excellent. Okay, that's good then. I started playing The Evil Within. I played it in preview and didn't really get along with it. Picked up the game when it came out, and I don't know why, I just couldn't associate with it, and I'm not sure why that is. So I might have to go back and give it another try. Did either of you two get through The Evil Within at all?
I didn't even start it.
It's a scary game, so no.
Oh, yeah, you're allergic to scary games. Okay, so we got some homework to do.
Yeah.
But considering we didn't see any, did we see any gameplay, or was that all that thing was pre-rendered there?
Pretty much
it?
Everything was pre-rendered, it looked like.
Yeah, okay.
It was more of a stylistic thing. It was like that original, or that remake, the new Prey trailer when that was first shown off.
Yeah. Did it give a release date?
13th of October.
Oh, wow, okay.
It's Friday the 13th of October.
Exactly, yeah. One of the things I wanted to mention when we were doing the overall thing as well, I just remembered, was I liked the fact that at the very end, when like they had talked about all of their announcements and trailers, they just kind of go, and all of this will be arriving this year. I liked that. I liked that it was sort of, well, it was kind of a dig at Sony, I'm guessing, but I liked that it was, everything that you've seen, you'll be able to play in a few months. So that's
a good shout as well, because it seems to be like when they announced Fallout 4, and they did the announcement thing. They go, okay, we're going to date it at E3, and then E3 comes along, they show you more stuff, and they went, and it comes out this year. And a lot of people gave them a lot of praise for that. That they haven't leaked a game. They've waited, and then they can show it off and release it like a couple of months down the line. I like that, and doing that for your entire lineup, that's smart. That's really smart.
Really
that's
good.
A great way of getting people on your side.
Yep.
Kev,
hello.
You've been playing Dishonored 2. What do you think about the DLC?
I'm really looking forward to that. The name first of all, it involves Dowd again and Billy, and they are really, really solid characters, and that Dowd adventure was hell of a fun that they added to the first game. Yeah, and just calling it the death of the outsider, where now Dowd, one of the best characters from the series, is going after the outsider, who's the guy who gave everyone their powers, and is kind of the hidden force behind the entire world. That sounds fun. I mean, I suspect this is going to be a franchise ender, but we shall see. Either way, it's got me well excited. I love Dishonored, as everyone knows.
Well, I think we've noticed over the years. I have a question, just off topic very slightly, but Dishonored 2, is it worth me getting into Dishonored 2 without playing Dishonored 1? Is that something you think I could conceivably do and not be lost?
Yeah, absolutely. All you need to know from Dishonored 1 is that Emily's mum died, who was the Empress, and Corvo went, I'm not happy about that, really, and then killed a lot of people, and then Emily got put on the throne. And that's all you need to know going into it. Story-wise, Dishonored 1 wasn't the most, should we say, intricate series of events, but the gameplay was what made that game phenomenal.
Right, moving on. So these open the show up, the VR presence for Doom and Fallout. Now, Fallout VR was shown last year, and it was just the Red Rocket area. You could kind of just float around in it, use the kind of glide controls for VR to get around, but there wasn't really much to do. Following that, they've gone, okay, we're just going to port Fallout 4 to VR, which is coming to HTC Vive. There's also Doom VR.
No, not Doom VR, Doom VFR.
VFR. Virtual effing reality.
Which looks a bit more like an experience than a game.
Yes, this is a standalone virtual reality experience, less of a made-for type thing. But yeah, also coming to the PlayStation VR and the Vive as well. Interesting. I'd be more interested in doing the Fallout stuff in VR, just because I've wanted something like a Skyrim or something open world where I can walk around in VR, rather than these smaller little experiences or kind of corridor type things, just to check them out.
That's what people have been crying for since VR became a feasible reality, is let's get these Bethesda games onto a VR headset and see what it's like to really immerse ourselves in these enormous worlds. And this is I think Fallout 4, I hope they put the effort in, because I feel that this is the one that's going to make or break VR as a big game platform, rather than remaining where it is as a, for lack of a better term, around game platform.
Yeah, I mean, apart from Resident Evil 7, there's not like huge games out. I mean, there's definitely headline type games, but they are still like corridor experiences, driving, that sort of thing. And there's only so much Batman and Superhot I can play, so I need I need something big to sink myself into.
And Resident Evil 7 was never going to be the pole by which everyone else measured themselves against. It was always going to be one of these big Bethesda games.
That said, Superhot VR is probably the greatest VR game that exists.
You won't get a no out of me on that one.
You need to play that in Vive. It's so good.
My greatest hope is that Superhot VR is announced at the PlayStation conference, as there's a port coming. I really hope there is.
See, I thought they wouldn't do that because of the whole Lighthouse system of the HTC Vive, and then I remembered it came to Oculus first, and then after playing it on the Vive, everything is kind of front-facing rather than needing the full 360 experience, so totally feasible. But anyway, sticking with Bethesda, we saw a bit more of Morrowind for The Elder Scrolls Online.
I actually paid attention this year because Mr. Gibbons and I actually invested in gold copies of Elder Scrolls Online and bought the Morrowind expansion just a few weeks ago, because we decided that we've got nothing to play really until Destiny 2 comes out. So let's pick up an MMO and see if we can get into it. And you know what? It's fine. It's not the best experience in the world, but that Morrowind stuff's actually really cool. I think it means a lot more to me than it does to Dan, because I actually played through Morrowind many moons ago.
Many moons.
Yeah. It's cool. Just seeing the Red Mountain rendered like that. I mean, it's not the best looking game in the world by any stretch of the imagination, but it looks a whole lot better than Morrowind did.
I'm always tempted to check it out. I might have to jump PC if you guys are doing it, though.
It has the nice advantage of being one of those MMOs, because they got rid of the subscription cost, so you can just buy, I mean, you still have to buy the box, but then you're in. So that's why I did it this time around. I was like, you know what, I can just buy the game. If I don't like it, I'll probably still get a good 20, 30 hours out of it.
So I know I'm a one MMO MOBA type guy. I can't switch between these things, so I don't really have the time to put it into the one, let alone several.
Yeah.
And at the moment, Marvel Heroes is going to be the one taking up my time, so I don't think I'll be jumping in. But
have you played the PlayStation version of that recently? Completely off sequitur.
So clunky.
So you still on PC playing that primarily then?
I want to change just because Dan guilted me into buying the pack so I could play it early.
Yeah, then that made me get it. I was like, no, we've made a terrible mistake.
Right, after the show, we're going to put some serious time into Marvel Omega. There's the Elder Scrolls card game. I always forget. Elder Scrolls Legend. Is that the name of it?
Legends, yeah. And it's getting a Skyrim add-on.
I actually played this, and it's I'm not the biggest tabletop card game, especially virtual ones. It's actually really good. I very much enjoyed it. Skyrim add-on, always a good idea. Everyone loves Skyrim. I don't know if have either of you guys played the card game at all?
Legends? No.
I've seen it advertised everywhere, and I've seen nothing negative said about it.
Yeah, it is. It's an incredibly competent card game. I never really played Hearthstone, so I can't make that comparison, but I enjoyed it.
I think the only thing it has working against it, and I'm not on this bus necessarily, but Gwent went into open beta or closed beta, one of the two, very recently as well.
And Fable Fortune as well.
And people really flipping love Gwent. I never got into it myself.
I would purposely avoid Gwent sections in Witcher 3. I know Tim's a big fan of Gwent and wanted like physical cards and got very excited about Gwent being a thing itself. But...
Yeah, I did the tutorial match and then went, well, that's as much of that as I'm ever going to see.
Yeah, I've never been one for tabletop games in other games. Like, I hated the card game in Final Fantasy VIII. I always thought they got in the way. But yeah, it's a very competent card game. Am I missing anything at all? I'm trying to... Oh, there's the creation system they're doing now.
Creator Club, was it?
Yes, the Bethesda Creator Club. There, where you can...
Where you can buy mods, because that went down so well on Steam a couple of years back.
That's a little bit worrying.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing they're saying, seemingly, is that they're going to put every single mod on that store through a decent amount of certification. So at least you can guarantee that the mod's not going to crash your Xbox like the current set of mods do.
That's it. I'm hoping they've learned their lesson from the Steam Workshop sales stuff, because a big problem that Steam had were either copyrighted materials being sold at a price that they shouldn't have done.
Yep.
Or people downloading other people's mods, changing a couple of the file name structures, and then re-uploading them and selling them.
Yep.
That's two big problems that I'm hoping they've been able to tackle. I've got no problem with buying a mod to pay someone's hard work, because it is hard work making a mod. So, even sometimes the most simple texture mods can break something down the line. So if it's done properly, then I've got no problem paying someone for their hard work.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I'm hoping there's a decent balance of, the free Thomas the Tank Engine Flying Dragon, the Macho Man Deathclaw, and then the huge graphical overhauls and stuff that someone's put a year into that I wouldn't mind paying for.
I mean, there's a mod I use for Skyrim called Sky UI, which if you play on PC makes that game so much more playable, because it changes all of those stupid menus into a much easier and more elegant mouse and keyboard setup. And I would pay 10 quid for that easy.
Yeah, I use I can't remember the name of the stability mod. I use a stability mod, one that has a slight graphical overhaul, and then one that adds some really, really good extra missions into them and fixes some of the voice dialogue on certain characters and stuff.
Yeah.
The only kind of daunting thing is that you're playing Skyrim, you're used to everyone having these weird stilted accents and sound like they're reading off of a page. Then all of a sudden you find one who's 10 times a better actor than
we can't
the
have
rest of the
that in our
people.
Bethesda games, though.
It's so weird.
Hello, have you been to the mountain?
Don't go that way. There's dragons down that way, I hear, adventurer.
Mate, there's a dragon chewing your head off right now. I don't know about...
'Tis nothing but a scratch.
The village is running around behind him.
So, yeah, stability mods and a Macho Man Dragon, obviously. Was there anything I've missed in this at all? So it was a very...
Did you cover the Switch Skyrim?
There's a Switch Skyrim. We don't know if it's the enhanced version. We doubt there's mods.
It didn't say special edition.
No, but we do know there's a Link costume.
An Amiibo-supported Link costume, in fact.
God, it's not, is it?
Yeah, they stuck a full-on Link Amiibo on there to make it go.
And then a chest appeared and he took stuff out of it and suddenly he was Link. He had Link's Master Sword, the outfit, the hoodie, everything.
There, Coleman sold. I guess I'm going to have to play Skyrim again.
No, I'm not, because I'm playing Skyrim already, but I'm playing it on the Xbox One with the mods.
But you can play it on the go now.
But you can't play Link with an Amiibo.
I'm pretty sure I could play without the amiibo because someone would have modded it in by now.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, the only problem I have there, I mean, when they first showed off the Switch, if you go back to our reveal show, I was very excited when I saw Skyrim because the idea of taking Skyrim on the go meant more Skyrim playtime for me, and I was very excited by this because I've never completed Skyrim. I probably never will complete Skyrim. I get too distracted doing dumb things like sneaking up on guards and putting cheese in their pockets.
Yep.
So the idea of taking that on the move was very enticing to me. However, playing the special enhanced edition with all the mods and stuff on a console probably would have ruined any version of the Switch version that could come out for me, personally.
Fair enough.
Anything else we've missed?
I can't think of anything else off the top of my head.
No, I think that was all of the main headlines for that show, yeah.
That's the good thing about these short shows. They are easy to fit into 20 minutes because there's not too much stuff to talk about.
And you're 100% right. This was a good setting. It was a good show. It was short and to the point. I don't disagree with any of that. I just also think that with the exception of maybe Wolfenstein, there's nothing here they couldn't have just gone, hey, here's a quick online ad for. It seemed a little bit overkill to put an hour-long press conference together. Whatever. I mean, you know that next year they're going to come back and they're going to have, like, new Doom, new Todd Howard Studio stuff.
Fallout MMO.
Yeah. Maybe Battlecry Studios will... Nah.
Okay, so that was the Bethesda conference. Good impressions all around, I think. Some really interesting stuff. And once again, everything getting released this year can only be a good thing. Though I think something's going to slip and get delayed. Something has to. It's just that kind of crap world we live in. So guys, thanks for jumping on and being the Bethesda panel. We'll do this again next year, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Indeed.
So we're going to go, and after this noise, I believe Ubisoft's next.
Yes, it is.
Ubi or not Ubi?
That is a question.
Ubi. It's Ubi.
It's Ubi because it stands for Ubiquitous Software. The only reason people say Ubi is because they think French studio, it's Ubisoft.
That's what they say. The French do. It's all silly.
It is. No one cares, really.
English language, right?
Let's all just go back to calling it Ubiquitous Software each time.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we can call them Renault cars.
Okay, so I believe we're all buggering off from that. No, none of us are going to be on that one, so I'm going to hand it back over to Tim, and we're going to sit back and eagerly await the news of The Crew 2 after this noise.
Show me the idol. Show me the Redeemer.
Here you go, mate. Yo, hand it over. I got a hot date who don't do late.
Bonjour!
But what?
There you go, getting all French, because we've just come off the Ubisoft presser for 2017, and we are here to talk about it. And not just me, you don't have to put up with my nonsense for another 20 minutes, but yeah, we also have my wife Alex.
C'est moi?
Mm-hmm, who will go to first. And also, La Bleezey.
Je m'appelle Josh.
No. that is not your name. I do not know how to say it in French, but that is not your name.
It's the only thing that I remember about French.
Also, he wouldn't be La Bleezey, he would be Le Bleezey.
Le Bleezey.
I don't know what that means, but I feel like you're putting a feminine spin on it.
No, he put the feminine spin on it. I gave you all your masculinity right back.
It's on a sliding scale. Anyway, right, look, we won't get stuck into that. Let's get stuck into Ubisoft. So, just before we dive into any individual game, overall impression of the conference.
Was very good, I thought. I was pleasantly surprised. Even for me, I was kind of knew what I was expecting. They've announced a lot of stuff ahead of time. They kind of prevented the leaks by leaking stuff themselves officially. Pre-leaks. But they still managed to get in a couple of surprises.
Yeah.
And there were 2 games that I'm actually really, really looking forward to. Well, okay, scratch that. There is one game that I will always get because I always get this kind of games. And then there are 2 other games that I'm really excited about it, but we'll get onto it later on.
Okay. And Bleezey, your overall impressions?
I was surprised. There was a lot of games that I wasn't expecting. However, I think quite a few of them, well, because I didn't know what they were coming from and what kind of games they were going to be, I think I'd actually have to see more about them before I decide. A lot of them were also sequels to genres that I got previously bored of in the past, but it was enough to maybe make me go, I might want to jump back in at this point.
Yeah, and as you say, there was a lot of things that we knew about, but there was still enough nice surprises and and things there. So, yeah, let's dive into it. As I said, overall, though, I thought it was a particularly impressive conference and probably the best one we've seen so far.
I don't know. I'm still biased towards Microsoft.
I liked the Microsoft one, but I thought that there were a lot of times where I was quite bored at the Microsoft one. This one, there was quite a big section at the beginning that I was quite bored about, but everything else I kind of enjoyed, or I got enjoyment from it.
We haven't seen the Sony one. We have to mention that. So we haven't seen the Sony one.
That's what I'm saying so far.
Yeah.
As I said, I think the Microsoft one was a little bit up and down for me, and a lot of it was third party and not really a good reason to get Microsoft. This is obviously a slightly different conference because it's not attracting you to a console. It's just, here's our games. And the one thing I was really surprised about was how many surprises there were, considering that, as you said, they pre-leaked half of it. And so before we get too stuck at that point, let's dive into a few games. And the first thing that I thought was, for me at least, a really pleasant surprise was that not only did the Mario and Rabbids game look intriguing, but it's a genre that I really like, which I really wasn't expecting. It's basically XCOM with Mario and Rabbids.
Yeah. I mean, I think you're the only one excited of all of us. Both me and Bleezey were like, Mario, we're checking out. Next.
I've never been a fan of the Rabbids anyway. So I saw that and I was like, ugh. And then they went, with Mario. And I went, oh my god, I might be just completely out of it.
But hey, they'd announced this game and thought it was coming, and I thought it was just going to be a platformer with shooting, and if it wasn't that, I thought it was just going to be a Paper Mario-esque adventure game type thing, RPG. But totally more on board and more intrigued by the fact this looks like a turn-based strategy game, which is definitely in my wheelhouse.
I think the funniest thing that was mentioned, though, was someone mentioned that it's the first third-party Mario title, or Western Mario title, and they immediately gave him a gun, which I found quite funny.
Yeah, right, but, well, I thought it was interesting that Miyamoto came out on stage and said he challenged them not to make a jumping game, and when they were just initially walking around the environment, so I was like, okay, it looks like a platformer where they took out the platforming. That's even duller than a platformer. What the hell? But then, yeah, as I said, to get like an XCOM game, and it sounds a bit derivative to say that, but it does look like a turn-based strategy with cover mechanics and all that type of stuff. And even Mario had like basically an Overwatch power. I can't remember what they called it, but it was something where he can shoot people as soon as they move and stuff like that. But they did look to put a few differences and spins on it, like jumping off of someone to jump behind someone else, and going through pipes to get up behind someone and all that type of stuff. And yeah, it did enough things new and interesting to be its own thing type of thing, while still kind of taking a take on that genre. And as I said, it's a genre that I love, but it's also a genre that has kind of gone and come back and then not really advanced that much in terms of what it looks to do. And this looks like they were taking the Nintendo approach that has worked so well with Mario Kart and driving games, that they've reworked with Splatoon and shooting games, and now looking to do with arms and fighting games. And this looks like their take on another genre for Mario. And I'm actually surprised how pleased I was with the result and then with the look of it, basically. So I'm definitely interested in that.
Yeah. Well,
on your own.
I mean, after that, there was Assassin's Creed, which we've seen before. Now we've seen some more. They're doing some game footage of it now. I mean, if you like Assassin's Creed games, you're probably on board. It just looks awesome. I don't think there is much more to say about that.
They had lots of animals.
Yeah, there's lots of animals.
Yeah, and switching to eagles, and
you'll probably have to kill a lot of animals too.
Yeah, hippos are dangerous as well. I just need to point that out.
We should point out at this stage that basically we're recording this immediately after the actual presser itself, and there was some live streaming stuff that they're doing immediately afterwards as well. So we haven't seen all of that, but just going into that, I don't necessarily think it's obviously indicative of the whole content of the game, but the first thing they show off is, hey, here's a camp. And I'm like, okay, that's great. I haven't seen one of those in a Ubisoft game before. I wonder if we're going to get the option to take it down stealthily or take it on full on.
It's basically the quintessential Ubisoft game, Ubisoft be Ubisoft. You take everything, the towers, the lots of loot, the stupid collectibles, and then you put Assassin's Creed next to it, and you get everything what Ubisoft is about. So there's no surprises there, but, you know, it's a cool environment, it's Assassins. I've pretty much played every Assassin game that ever came out. I'm looking forward to it. I don't really need to see anything more. Assassins be Assassins in a cool new settings. We're going back in time, which I like, because I don't think I would want to go any more forward than they did in the last game, which was Syndicate.
I'll be interested, because they're going back to the origins of the actual Assassin's Brotherhood. I'll be interested if they completely abandon any of the future stuff, because I haven't seen a mention of any of that stuff so far in this game.
Good.
And yeah, I think that would actually be a good step, that they got rid of all of that, I think.
Well, Bleezey, you like the future stuff?
I like the future stuff, but I actually had a point, and then Tim started talking and I forgot it. So
get used to it. If that happens a lot when podcasting with me, sir.
It was something that one of the people mentioned in there. It was, if they did go any further forward in time, guns became a really big thing, and then Assassin's Creed games become very quick. Because you can't really outrun a bullet.
Well, you can in stuff.
I mean, they did a bunch of stuff during World War II in the last game. And
did they?
Yeah, they did. There was a little section in it, which I guess it's not spoilers anymore because that game came out ages ago now. But, you know, it sounds exciting, but that level just wasn't as exciting as that sounds.
I haven't played an Assassin's Creed game since Brotherhood, so it's... Well, I played Black Flag, actually.
Yeah.
But I got bored of it.
See, you say you don't like Black Flag, but the current game, the Origins, is designed by Black Flag team, and as far as I'm concerned, this is the second best Assassin's Creed game out there.
Okay, moving on from that, did either of you care about the crew?
Yes.
The crew 2?
Bleezey.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Crew 2?
So this is going to be one of two games that I got really excited for, and no one else did.
Yep.
Because I didn't think the crew was perfect. However, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a fun idea, and I liked the scope that they went with the map and stuff. And I didn't buy the expansions. However, it looks like they're rolling in the expansions, and then they're kind of making it a more kind of steep-esque game where there's different disciplines. So you've got the boats.
That's not saying a good thing. But anyway,
wait for it. Wait for later for it.
Okay.
Let him finish.
Anyway, but you've got the motorbikes, you've got like the monster trucks, you've got the actual car racing itself, then you've got boats, and you've got the Red Bull Air Race type planes.
Yeah, but I just don't know that that's the right way to go with this game, no?
He's making a face right now at me. I think don't kill his
faces
excitement.
don't work on audio,
Yeah,
Bleezey.
I was trying to find a way to verbalize that reaction, which is, I know what I like.
Yep.
And that is what I like. However, I can completely understand if it's not someone else's remit.
I just think the thing they needed to concentrate on was better racing, and if they want to make the story an integral part, a better story.
The one thing I really hope they work on, which is something that drove me mad in the first game, is your car clips something and it goes into this full crash animation.
Yeah.
Which is really annoying, because if you just clip the rear quarter or something, it was not a crash. It was just,
it was not enough to send you flying. Yeah.
But that's one thing that I hope. And also, it was kind of, they didn't really announce anything, but it was sort of discussed, which was, is it going to be a bigger map? Or are they just going to go more detailed with what they have? And I did hear one of the people right at the end, they went, oh yeah, we're going with a bigger scope, which once it can kind of go either way on that. But that could also be...
not the right answer as far as you're concerned?
I don't know. It's because they said bigger scope.
More detail sounds like a better way to go.
I think a lot of the criticism it got, the first one got, was lack of detail, because they kind of went big, but it was big, but nothing was really there. It was very shallow.
Felt a bit empty at times. Sort of thing,
and but maybe when they say big scope, they might mean more detail, because you've got planes flying around and stuff. But I don't know until I see a bit more, really.
Yeah, I think it's something we need to see a bit more gameplay and hear a little bit more about, what's getting, what people's reaction to it is. Now, okay, I think then and I kind of sarcastically tweeted this before, but moved on to South Park, which was my favourite game of last year's E3.
I have a list of games, and South Park was just so obvious to me. I didn't even put it down on the list.
South Park came up twice.
Yeah, it did come up twice.
And they need to calm down. They need to put out one game before they start making another. I like South Park. I didn't actually play... Well, I played a tiny bit of Stick of Truth, but I never really completed it. But the whole setting for it, although it's got the South Park spin, I don't think it really gelled with me, whereas superheroes I can get on board with. So I'm a lot more excited for that one.
It needs to come out already. That's all it needs.
And, well, the fact that it's delayed till October shows that they're hopefully taking all the time they need with it. I do kind of wonder if the mobile game that we saw, which I know it's going slightly out of order, but yeah, South Park and what was it? The Phone Destroyer, I think.
It was the Cowboys one, wasn't it?
Yeah, Cowboys and Indians on the phone. Now, I wonder slightly if that was something that kind of span out of what they were doing, and maybe that was part of the reason for the delay. They took that all out and added it to there, or whether it was always completely something that was envisaged completely separately. Don't know. But
I imagine they probably just had this big whiteboard, which was just lots of different genres. So they had, like, you know, the fantasy thing, which way they went with the Stick of Truth. Then they had superheroes. They had cowboys, Indians, choir boys, aliens.
I imagine it could be that Cowboys versus Indians was something that, like, they had as an idea for a future game, and then just decided maybe it's not got enough depth to it. Let's just make it a mobile game type stuff, which, you know, sounds a bit derivative, but I'm actually really excited for that, I have to say. I think both Joe and I were saying that we're going to spend far too much time on our phones. I know it's Catherine, actually, that said it on Twitter and stuff. But yeah, like, I can see me spending way too much time on that. That's going to be a bit good, I think, basically.
Yeah, because it looks a little bit like your Star Wars Galaxy, so...
Yeah, just with South Park humour, so yeah, that's all good. And then another thing that was very good for me, although we didn't get many details, they do seem to be working on a VR game called Transcendence with Elijah Wood. Very scarce on actual details. They had a bit of a kind of live action-y thing of him talking about it and some other bits and bobs. But Ubisoft have been making some good experimentations in VR with the stuff that they've been doing. Eagle Flight was quite interesting. Werewolf Within was very different and quite interesting. And South Park, which has just been released, has been quite different and quite interesting. So they are one of the bigger people, particularly in PSVR support. And they're one of the main kind of big AAA companies actually developing for VR at the moment. So I'm very interested to see what they come up with there, even though, details were a little bit thin on the ground as well. But hey.
Don't think they really said much, but the way that it was shot was sort of like a documentary, and it was kind of found footage of these people running this program, and Elijah Wood's supposed to be like the director of this program. I think it's a horror game. I'm not 100%.
Yeah, it definitely looked like that.
It just... The way that, like, it kind of ended on this guy just saying, this can't hurt you, and he just kind of repeats it a couple times for it to start getting unnerving. That's all I really took away from it.
I can see it being, even if it's not kind of full-on gory horror, I can see it being definite psychological horror type thing. And it kind of makes sense with, you know, how successful Resident Evil seemed to be in that they would look to develop something in a similar space at least. And anyway, we need more details, but it looks good. Now, something that was a big surprise. I saw someone tweet about this just before it actually hit the screen, so I don't know what inside information they have at Eurogamer, but they seem to have some knowledge of it pre this going up. But yeah, Skull and Bones, big pirate game. Basically, they've gone, well, look, everyone really liked that bit in Black Flag, but they said the assassinations got in the way, so we're making a separate Assassin's Creed game, and it's got some boats, but not that many boats in. Let's make a full-on pirate game and just do that. Probably a good idea. I mean, a lot of people were, you know, bringing up comparisons to Sea of Thieves, but Sea of Thieves, from what we saw yesterday, definitely looks on the sillier side, whereas this looks to be taking itself a bit more seriously.
Oh, come on, it looked excellent. I got so excited. And the funny thing is, because we're sitting in the group watching the conference, and as it rolls, without any titles, without anything, we're looking at it, it's like, yeah, it's Black Flag, but just no crit. yes. And then it comes up, you know, it is basically Black Flag with no assassins. And we're like, yes, that's what we all wanted all this time. It looks amazing. You can battle with 5 people. The ships have classes.
Well,
you can do
5-on-5 player versus player battles, basically.
I mean, you can board the ships and also, you know, fight from one ship to another. It just looks so good. It's just everything I absolutely loved about Black Flag, but was brought down by all the other random assassinating that I had to do on the side. This just has that element, and I'm so excited about this.
The one thing that I didn't get a good grasp of from the footage that they showed was exactly how it'll work in terms of, they seem to be like different ships on the same team as you, because they had one team like come in and take some damage for you so that you could then go after things. I didn't get a good idea of exactly how, you integrate with other ships and stuff like that, but
I think it's like one person has each ship.
Right,
by the looks of it, and it was like you're shooting, then you're steering it, then you're like placing a mine or something.
Yeah, and because they said about like other people staying on land. I was like, well, how does that work?
I think they were saying you can go in different directions. You don't have to stick together. So some ships went land side, and then other ships went deeper to kind of circle around the opposing team. So basically, just tactics.
Yeah, as I said, not entirely sure how that works, but that seemed to be interesting at least.
I didn't really get into the ship stuff in Black Flag. I was too busy being bored of the assassinating bit, which. I mentioned this while it was showing up, and I was like, I didn't really like Black Flag, and then everyone told me I was wrong, so...
Yes, you are.
You are wrong, Bleezey, so there you go.
Yeah, so I might give it a go. It looks like it would depend who's playing. It was a very similar reaction that I had to the Sea of Thieves thing that I had, which was, I could see, yes, I would do that kind of thing, or yes, I would be the one that went... I'm just going to ram my ship into the other one, because what else do I have to do?
Definitely looks intriguing. We'll find out a bit more about the gameplay. It's definitely going to be the year or so of Pirates, whether this comes out this year or next, so it will be interesting to see.
The other ending bit of it, which there were certain people we were watching with that hit the roof when that bit showed.
With the Kraken.
With the Kraken.
Oh,
it was
yeah.
So someone said it as a kind of joke, and they were just like... it's a Kraken, and then it kind of zoomed out, and they went, it is a Kraken!
Yeah, it's pretty much what happened in this end as well.
I mean, what I loved about that whole sequence is that you were watching the screen, and you were like, yeah, this is what this is about. You were kind of predicting every single step you make, but instead of being like, oh, this is so boring, we know what's going to happen, we're like, I think this is going to happen. Yes, this is happening. This is amazing.
I will be honest. I wasn't hugely won over by what I was seeing, but it was the people's reactions around me, the people that had played Black Flag more than me, the people that like pirates more than me, that was kind of twisting me to go, yeah, no, I could get behind this. I could do this.
I still need to be convinced a little bit more. I wasn't as massive a fan of the ship combat as everyone else, but anyway, we shall see. As I said, time will tell. And then I think in the order of proceedings, we actually caught up with the South Park game at this point, which I'll only re-mention just because I forgot the opportunity to mention the fact that it is versus a load of other people, including aliens and pigeons. Bleezey, you'll be glad about that.
And Choir Boys.
But yeah,
let's not leave out the Choir Boys.
Let's not leave out the Choir Boys. But yeah, that looked alright, and obviously, as I said, I'm quite keen on that. But then moving on, we got to see another surprise, which was something called Starlink. Now, did either of you care about this at all?
No.
It looked like toys.
Yeah. It looked like a little game that I saw at UK Games Expo, which was also using action figures to do silly. But there it was used in an RPG in a silly flying game, and this looked too familiar, because you could replace the guns with the toys to replace the guns in the video game, and I'm like, it's a bit gimmicky.
I legitimately thought it was No Man's Sky with the visual aesthetic to start with. I was like, oh no, did they buy that?
When it started with, it was like, it's a bit early for No Man's Sky 2, and what? And hey, but then they kind of bring the toys to life thing, and the first shot of that we saw was like a ship attached to a Nintendo Switch. I went to call it a Wii, and then a Wii U, and then it was like a Wii what? No, it's a Switch.
I did find that quite funny, just quickly going back to the Mario thing, where they were just like, we've supported Nintendo through the Wii, and even to the Switch. I was like, didn't mention the Wii U, did you?
Well, no, I actually think they supported the Wii U possibly more than they supported the Switch. But that was probably about something.
I just think they're banned from mentioning it anymore.
But yeah, we'll gloss over that one. Now let's make a game together. But anyway, but Starlink just looked like a really good way of macroizing the microtransactions. But hey, we shall see.
Yeah, anyway, not much has been shown. Let's move to another game Bleezey's excited about.
Yeah, stop the crickets at this point.
Far Cry 5?
No. Steep.
No? Oh god, I didn't even write that one down. Anyway, yeah, okay.
Well, I feel like that's the reaction of everyone else that watched it, but I was there going, I like Steep, and it's a Winter Olympics themed edition. Expansion. Which I wasn't sure if I was on board at, and then I was kind of watching it and I was going, I miss playing Steep. So I think I'll be the one person that buys it.
Well, I like a good snowboarding game, but they seem to have messed that up a little bit by not making a snowboarding game and making a jack of all trades, master of none, going down a slope game type thing. Whereas I'd prefer them to have just concentrated on skiing or snowboarding or something. Anyway.
I think that we just have different plans for it, because I like the fact that Steep was varied, because I could just be like, oh yeah, I want to snowboard. And yeah, granted, the snowboarding wasn't 100% perfect, but then maybe I fancy skiing, maybe I fancy paragliding. And that's why I was really excited that the crew was doing something similar, but you seem to have the opposite reaction where you were like, no, I don't want that to happen. Also, the other thing is, paragliding and wingsuits aren't in the Olympics. So either it's just going to be snowboarding and skiing, or they're going to add something else. And I'm hoping for bobsled.
Oh, bobsled would be cool. But do you think that'll work well in a video game? I'm not sure that it would. No,
it won't. But it's basically just hold right trigger to go, and then you just wait for the rest of it.
Eins, zwei, try. Anyway, right.
It's the Jamaican team. That's who I'm playing.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, you won't believe they had a bobsleigh team. Anyway, right, but yeah, right, now, on to one of the big ones that they had already talked about, but that was Far Cry 5.
It has a doggo, I'm on board.
It has a dog, yep, I thought you'd like that.
That was enough to get me on board. I did like the dog as well.
Yeah, dog looked cool, and the fact that you can call in like other people, including it seemed friends in trucks. I'm not sure how that worked, but you can also call in like other support members. Like you had a sniper who was like watching your back from a water tower nearby. You had a guy that you could call in with an aeroplane to kind of drop stuff from above.
He looked very Ghost Recon like Ghost Recon Wildlands. He could have been genuine a character model from that they've just like crossed over the character with.
I thought it did look kind of graphically impressive though. It looked alright, no?
I like the look of it. I think that they're kind of trying to set the bad guy up to be a bit more like what's his name from Far Cry 3? Yeah. Where he's kind of insane but in a very specific way, whereas everything else he seems to be quite calculated. And I didn't play Far Cry 4, but it seemed like from what I saw, the bad guy was a bit... Yeah. He kind of like swing and a miss type thing.
Really? I think they do unhinged characters quite well, and I think they did him reasonably well in 4. I got the impression from what I saw of him in the beginning of the game. I didn't get that far into the rest of it. But I think it's going to be a good angle to take. I think it's going to be an enjoyable setting for them to kind of riff off characters. I do worry about the controversy and how Middle America's going to react to it.
There will be one.
We'll see. We shall see.
But also there's Cal.
Also cows. So, yeah. I don't know. It's a series that I've gone a little bit cold on, despite the fact I quite enjoy it, but I'm still kind of interested to see where it goes. Now, the big finishing point that had a lot of people eating hats and eating mugs and lots of other things and eating their words generally, because no one believed it would really happen.
Coleman and Laura K-Buzz believed. They believed.
Well, they still believe.
Years.
Yeah.
For years.
They've been predicting it for like every E3 for like the last 15 years.
It gives me hope that next year Bad Company 3 is going to happen. If you wait long enough, it will happen.
That could happen. But Beyond Good and Evil 2 is finally upon us. And I don't know about either of you two. I didn't play the original game, and I've never quite understood what the level of fuss was about for the first one. Having watched the trailer that they just showed, I have to say that was a very, at least visually impressive trailer that has me much more curious than I was to actually investigate to the point of playing it, possibly.
I've not played the first game, I've just heard a lot about it from other people, but watching this trailer, this is bad bleep insane that I absolutely love. Like, there's not a single point in that trailer that I wasn't on board.
The smack-talking monkey was amazing.
Come on, yeah. I mean, it's just... You know, the humor, the atmosphere, the kind of dirty, greedy outlook of it, the pigs, the everything. I love it.
The design of it looked really good. Like, also
graphically
the clear,
amazing.
Yeah, the clear like difference between there was like the temples towards the end, then there was like the neon city, and even the kind of like police ships had their own specific visual style that I really liked. And I actually said when the police like helicopter things turned up, I was like, oh, they look really cool. And then like the characters steal one, and I was like, yeah, I like that idea. But I never played the first Beyond Good and Evil. The only thing that I ever heard about it was Coleman telling me about it. and I don't even know what kind of game it is. So for all I know, it could be like a top-down strategy game, but
it's a third-person exploration. Ish.
If, like Alex said, if the humor and the visual style kind of continue over from that trailer, I think I'd be fairly on board with that.
Like I said, it did a good job of getting me interested in a game I wasn't particularly interested in before, despite hearing all these good things for the last 15 years about the last game. Yeah, I'm more on board.
And how sweet was that creative director who came in and he had tears in his eyes and he basically finally made that game? That was a really good end to the conference.
That was a good ending.
I also like the way Ubisoft bring all of their people back out on stage and kind of make it a bit more of a family affair type thing. But yeah, as I said, overall, I thought it was a really good conference. I thought it was fairly strong throughout. There was the kind of bum notes that we knew they were going to hit at some stage, like, at least for our audience, we glossed over the fact there was a Just Dance presentation, as there always is.
I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, but no one cares.
Right, but at least it was short and sweet. They got in and got out and got on with it, which I think was a good idea.
I'm hoping that they have the light up vest and mask things as like a pre-order bonus. I might actually buy Just Dance for once.
As a lot of people said, they look like people from Mortal Kombat, but hey. But yeah, anyway, as I said, I think overall a pretty strong conference. It's got me hyped for the Sony conference, which is coming up next, which will have more people to step in and talk about coming up after this.
My name is Marcus. I am one of them. This is our story.
Welcome back, my little happy ducklings. It's E3, it's Sony PlayStation, we've just seen it. I am Coleman, hi! And I've got from Geek Speak, two people from Geek Speak. I've got lovely Alex.
Butts.
And lovely Joe.
Hello. Don't get called that very often.
Man, I was gonna tell him that he sucks, and then he saved it by saying lovely. Damn it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I ruined your insults to me. I'm sure I'll hear them off mic where you're actually really mean to me.
You're making me sound worse than I actually am. I'm lovingly mean.
It's mean in an affectionate way.
Yeah. If I hit you, that means I love you. It's like high school. Or kindergarten. I never really grew out of it.
I'll retaliate by pulling your pig. Tails? Anyway, let's talk about Sony. I hear you two are both very big PlayStation fans.
Maybe. I can neither confirm nor deny.
Okay, so what did you think overall? I'll start with you, Joe. So what did you think overall, especially in comparison to like the last 2 years of Dreams?
I would say it wasn't vintage PlayStation E3 conference, but it was very solid and serviceable and had some interesting things and some more gameplay of things that we already know about. But yeah, overall, pretty solid. It was quite nice to not have lots of people up on stage talking, because that gets really boring, and they just kind of got on with it and showed the games, and that was quite nice. And I liked the presentation, that was cool. But yeah, not 100% classic PlayStation conference, but still pretty decent.
Yeah, I think maybe to appreciate that conference more, you had to be there because there were a lot of stage effects and a lot of other things going on.
Where did the water go?
Yeah, exactly.
It's gonna make a mess.
Mystery. We need to figure this out. Yeah, so there was other things happening for the audience that weren't translated as well to the TVs. I mean, I could still enjoy the trailers and so on and appreciate their zombies hanging from the ceiling, twitching, whatever. But if you were in the audience, I think the conference was a bit of a higher level than it was for us just watching at home.
Yeah, possibly, yeah.
Not last year, but the year previous, we had sort of a bog standard E3 type presentation, but the amount of stuff they had, they just keep hitting and hitting and hitting and hitting. You want Shenmue 3? Here's Shenmue 3. You want Final Fantasy 7? Here's Final Fantasy 7. Last Guardian, we've not spoken about that for a while. Coming out next year. That's going to be great. And they just kept doing this. And then last year, that's when they started doing this whole orchestral thing and the big ballroom, and they had a man who looked suspiciously like Satan leading an orchestra. It was pretty cool. And that was the year they came out, one talk, and then everything else was just trailer, and I absolutely loved it. This year looks similar to last year, but a little bit stilted in comparison. There didn't seem to be that many huge announcements, and when it finished, I expected like there was another hour. It just felt really odd.
It definitely it felt like it ended quite abruptly. Like I was like, oh, that's the end. I want more kind of thing, you know.
Okay, so not quite the Year of Dreams 3, more just PlayStation stuff. And PlayStation stuff's not bad, because we get stuff on the PlayStation, and we like stuff on the PlayStation, because that means we can keep playing them. So we'll start off, we got another look at Uncharted The Lost Legacy. I'd argue a little bit too much at the story, but hey.
Well, we had a problem with the stream where we were watching on Twitch and the sound cut out, so we didn't hear any of the story, so we're still excited.
If you watch the trailer, I think they gave a little bit too much away, character development-wise, between the two. That's August the 22nd, that's coming out on PlayStation 4. It's an expand-alone adventure, so you can play without the Uncharted 4 Thief's End disc, which is nice.
Yeah, that is nice.
I'm really looking forward to this, mainly because there's two characters that I've liked in the games, especially it's Chloe is the Australian-sounding woman. And then I always forget the new woman's name.
Nadine.
Nadine, but she's pretty cool too.
Yeah.
I remember punching her through a floor in part of the game.
That's right, yeah. Yep, she kicks ass.
So it's them travelling around India looking for the tusk of Ganesh, and I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm on board with that. I mean, I'm a big Uncharted fan anyway, so I was always kind of going to be into this. But yeah, from what we could see but not hear last night, it does look very pretty and very solid and lots of fun, like an Uncharted game should be.
There is an expansion for Horizon Zero Dawn, which was probably surprise to no one, called The Frozen Wilds.
We were both quite excited.
Yeah, we were waiting for this, actually. I was waiting.
So this is a Devil Tower-style mountain where there's a giant beast that guards it. That's pretty much what we got so far. You carry on playing as Aloy. It's all very snow-themed. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be great because it's Horizon Zero Dawn.
More robot dinosaurs, so yay!
I don't know if we can conclude that it's probably definitely a post-game just through the armor that she was wearing.
Yeah, that's that special armor that you pick up towards the end.
Yeah. So it's probably post the original story things happening, so that would be interesting how they deal with that.
Yeah.
And generally more Horizon Zero Dawn is a good thing.
Yep.
Also, because it seems to be a really big bad in there, so it might not be so much robot dinosaurs as robot kaiju.
Oh, yeah! That makes me quite excited.
I thought you'd like that. Okay, we got 7 minutes of gameplay for Days Gone. A little bit less looking at the freakers so much and more the world around you. Lots of motorcycle play at the start. Looked really, really cool.
I was kind of like on the fence when they last showed it and they kind of announced it. I was kind of like, yeah, okay, I like what they're doing with the hordes. That looks quite clever in terms of AI and stuff like that. And I kind of thought it could be relatively interesting, but I was kind of, at that point, a bit burnt out on sort of zombie games. So I was like, oh, okay, another one, okay, great. But to be fair, what they showed last night looks quite interesting and clever. And yeah, I think I'm on board, yeah.
Kind of looks like a weird mixture between The Last of Us and Assassin's Creed and a lot of stuff that they were doing. There's a bunch of, like hiding in the bushes, but then also using the horde to attack.
Yeah. Yeah, like using your enemies against your enemies, kind of being able to sort of manipulate the environment to your advantage. That was quite cool. And of course, Zombie Bear.
Oh, yeah.
Zombie Bear, and that was awesome.
They're not called zombies, they're called freakers.
Oh,
so it's all freaker wolves and freaker bears.
I prefer Zombie Bear, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Oh, they as well, because the guy came out to talk yesterday, and they did the moment where all the freaker human survivors were like hanging off of, they were hanging upside down and he had to walk through them all thinking they were dead bodies, but they weren't. One was still alive.
Yeah.
And on stage, they brought down real people hanging from the ceiling. And then the guy came out and he went, oh, I had to walk under zombies. Didn't see that coming. So you've just ruined your own language. You said they were freakers. You were very adamant they weren't zombies, so we didn't get burnt out on them. I really liked the moment where he set up a bear trap in a bush and then threw a rock towards the bush so the person would walk into a bear trap. And I immediately thought, how many games have, not the bear trap mechanic per se, but similar things where you could set a trap and throw a rock at it that I've only just now realised I could have done in several games.
Yeah. Well, you could do it in Horizon, actually, like a similar thing. You could set up those shock traps and throw a thing and lure people into those. But I think Days Gone looks pretty solid. Looks like it could be good fun.
There's a new Monster Hunter game on the PlayStation 4, which is interesting. I really did think that Capcom and Sony were done doing Monster Hunter together. But this is Monster Hunter World, large open world. I'm assuming multiplayer. They didn't show any multiplayer in it, but it's Monster Hunter, so it would have to be. And it looked pretty cool. Very realistic looking monsters, like a T-Rex type monster.
I also was kind of into this one. I thought it looked quite cool, but I do think the trailer presentation was lacking somewhat. There was some really weird editing beats in that trailer, and it was kind of a little bit scatty and all over the place and looked a little bit rough. But actually, the game itself, I think, could be a lot of fun. I mean, Monster Hunter is great anyway, isn't it? So, pretty psyched for this.
Yeah, the trailer seemed to show monster hunting in the view of the worst Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
They're doing everything wrong. Alex, are you into Monster Hunter at all?
Not really. I really tried to get into. I got it. I tried to get along with it, and I really, really didn't. So I'm excited for people who love Monster Hunter. I know a couple of friends who will be over the moon about this. I'm happy for them on the side, while not really caring myself.
See, my problem, I really tried to get into Monster Hunter on the 3DS, but I got to a point where it was just progressing too slow, and I should have been playing it online. But I never put my 3DS online. It will connect to the Wi-Fi every now and then, but I mostly use it on the tube, I use it on a bus, I use it out and about, I don't use it at home that much, so the multiplayer element was kind of lost on me. Sticking it on the PlayStation, yeah, I'm probably going to play it less because it's on a dedicated console rather than a handheld and I'm not taking it out with me, but I would have that online moment, and as all cooperative online games go, it would probably be quite funny.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was exactly my problem why I didn't get along with it, because I couldn't play it online with friends, and from what I hear, it is the experience to play with friends, and if they're bringing it to PlayStation, that is a really great opportunity, because PlayStation Network might not be perfect, but it does online and internet better than Nintendo does, so...
Yeah.
If you remember a while ago, when the PlayStation 3 launched, we had a PlayStation 2 game called Shadow of the Colossus, which came to PlayStation 3, and it was exclaimed that it was a remaster, but it was more of a port with a little bit of a sheen on it. Now, here's a ground-up remake for the PlayStation 4, and it looks absolutely beautiful. I'm a big fan of Shadow of the Colossus, completed it on PS2, several times on PS3, really annoyed that I couldn't get my remote play working because I wanted to play it on the Vita as well. But playing a remake of it interests me because it looks so gorgeous. Worries me because I really hope they fix the controls because they're so difficult to get used to.
Yeah, that was kind of like, I played a bit of Shadow of the Colossus. I think, aesthetically, it's an absolutely stunning game, and the whole idea of it and the concept is fantastic. But I couldn't get on with the controls with it at all. And I also there were times where I just really didn't enjoy it because I didn't really want to kill the things, and you have to kill the things to progress. So I kind of had that sort of moral dilemma with it. So in the end, I just kind of said, nah, I don't want to do this anymore, and kind of stopped. But maybe with the new one, I might be tempted to pick it up and give it another try. I mean, there's certainly a lot of people out there who are big fans who will be absolutely ecstatic at this. So it's really good stuff.
Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, we saw a story trailer. I wasn't particular. I love Marvel, I love Capcom characters. I'm kind of into the fighting games, not too much though. I find them a bit difficult. But story mode kind of interested me, not so much though. It means there is a story mode, so I'll probably play the game. The biggest news was that there is a story demo that you can download right now.
But was it just me, or did it look a little bit crap? Especially compared to Injustice that came out just recently, which looks so good. This just looked a bit like the Thanos looked very telltale-y, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I think they tried to get the right aesthetic where everyone kind of blends together in the same universe. So you have got things that, like, Mega Man's a very weird-looking child robot. So to fit all the characters in together, I guess you've got to make some changes so they don't look too out of place. But I genuinely thought, because my stream crashed and it was muted and it was just video. So by the time it came back up, I thought I was watching Marvel Heroes Omega.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, cool, they're hyping up Omega. And then I realized, and then suddenly, like, Mega Man appeared. And I was like, oh, okay, right, I see now. It's Marvel vs. Capcom. Quite a nice moment between Rocket and Dante from Devil May Cry, where Dante lends the girls to Rocket. And he starts wielding ebony and ivory. Thought that was quite funny. Other than that, I wasn't too bothered about the story. I just like the interaction between...
Yeah, no, this kind of leaves me cold, if I'm honest.
I'm wondering if they're going to add Deadpool in at all, because he was the highlight of the last game. He would do real weird stuff, like he would grab the health bar and hit someone with it. If you moved backwards, you would moonwalk. And he would do Street Fighter moves as well, and had the voice of Nolan North, so it was all brilliant. I don't think he's in the lineup. Maybe DLC. We'll see.
Yeah.
Call of Duty World War II... I personally did not care.
Yeah, sorry. Just nothing special.
Yeah,
a bit more
war.
I play bits of Call of Duty. I don't really play Battlefield, but when the Battlefield 1 came out, I could see the appeal to it. There were some, not even arguably, but just awesome stuff, dirigibles and all that kind of stuff. It just looked awesome and felt like it would play awesome. In that trailer, there was just, nothing felt new, nothing felt interesting. There's nothing felt that like, oh, I have to go in that environment and play it. I felt like 2 years ago, I played the same Call of Duty with a slightly different setting, and it didn't really feel any different.
When Battlefield went back to Battlefield 1, and I'd only very briefly played Battlefield games. I've never really gotten into the military shooters. I don't like kind of glorifying them, if you will.
Yeah, I don't either.
Yeah, so I kind of steer away from them. I tried Battlefield 1 because I heard it's a bit more gritty, realistic, showing you just how crap war is. And I was like, okay, I'm actually down for that. I'll give that a go. Got a little bit into it, and then suddenly you're an Italian guy in essentially an Iron Man costume with a mountain falling on you, and you're shooting planes out the sky. And it's like, yeah, I think you've lost something along the way here. With World War II, and as well, you can make it as respectful as you want. You've got a multiplayer in that game. Your community is not going to let it be respectful and realistic while they're screaming racial slurs at you.
Yeah.
But going back to World War II, I didn't really hear the community that excited about it. I mostly heard press stuff, and I wasn't excited about it, mainly because I grew up with World War II shooters all the time. So taking 10, 15 years out to go to something different and then go back to World War II, it kind of feels like a step back to me. And then again, it's going to be that whole thing of glorifying war, and I'm not down with that. But anyway, it's out on November 3rd if you are.
Yeah.
Destiny 2. I know you guys are massive Destiny fans.
Oh, yay! Wave that Destiny flag. Do the Destiny emote.
If you played Destiny, if played it properly and played some raids with me, you would love that more than Overwatch.
Look, I agree. I would probably love it. My problem with Destiny is because when it all started, everyone's like, Destiny's so amazing, you have to play, but there's nothing to play, but it's so amazing, you have to play. And there was like conversations going in circle how there's nothing to play in Destiny, but you absolutely have to play Destiny. And they were non-stop on every single thing, on every single podcast. Not only BRB UK that was taken over by Dan with his Destiny parade, but every other single podcast, just repeating one thing over and over again. And by that point, I just got so frustrated, I could completely lost interest. And maybe it's not even the game's fault, it was, I don't know whose fault it is, but it's just the talk of it, which was going in circles and in circles and in circles, just frustrated me to the point like I don't want to touch the game.
I must admit, I played the alpha and it was fine, but I didn't really feel that excited about it. I know it's come a long way since then, but it's just another kind of thing that sort of leaves me cold, kind of just shooty, rah, space. Yeah, nah, it's not. I don't think it's for me.
See, I rented it first and then kind of got my fill, and then didn't come back to it till later when everyone went back to it and went, oh, it's really good now, there's content, and everyone play together. I was like, well, I'd like friends, I'll go play online. And so I picked the game up a lot cheaper than I would have if I bought it day one, and really enjoyed it, and then carried on with all the updates and stuff. But just going back to what you were saying, Alex, it is really annoying when you listen to loads of podcasts and all of a sudden they just get fixated with one game and won't shut up about it. Overwatch.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but Overwatch is really good, though.
Yeah, but if you're not in that circle,
it's
really off-putting.
I mean, I think that's why we're kind of trying to restrict it at least on our podcast. We're trying really hard. It might not show, but we are trying really hard.
And then if you try play it and no one plays with you and you feel really left out because Winston's your main.
Winston is actually really good now in Overwatch, Coleman.
Awesome,
he was always really good. He's Winston. He's an ape and a mech suit. Right, we've got to burn through a few things. So there was a bunch of stuff for PSVR.
Yeah.
All really nice looking experiences.
Can we just say Tim will probably blabble about them on the next BRB UK and just leave it up to him?
Tim's likely to buy every single one of those.
Yes. I think they all look fairly interesting, and I'm sure they will end up in our flat, and we'll talk about them more, so stay tuned.
All except for Final Fantasy 15's fishing game.
Oh, yeah,
I was excited by everything shown.
No.
Put it that way.
That probably won't happen.
God of War form reappeared. This looks a lot more different to previous God of War games in style and tone. More so than the early thing we saw last year. I didn't realise quite how different Kratos sounded, but it looks really interesting. You're Kratos, you're taking around, I assume, adopted son, because that's what was hinted in the first trailer.
Everyone's assuming that.
Yeah, everyone kind of is saying that he's adopted, but I don't know. I'm not sure. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, I think I can't remember if there was a reference to it in the first trailer or not, but hey. But it looks really cool. Giant snake, that terrifies me.
Oh, that was good.
Don't like snakes.
It's a giant sea monster thingy, and apparently it's friendly. What do you know?
It looked kind of cute. It looked a little bit like Falkor from the Neverending Story, but as a sea monster.
Now I like him. Did you guys know that the serpent appeared in the first trailer?
Oh, really? No, I did not know that.
Because I spotted it, and not a lot of people did. And I can't remember if I think I mentioned it in the first show, and then thought I was wrong and cut it out.
And now you could have been right.
Yeah, where they finished the demo and they're looking out over the world and they're like, where do we go now, Dad? And he's like, to God of War. I can't remember what he says at the end. But if you look, there's like a winding river across the land. And if you wait for a split second before the trailer ends, it moves.
Oh.
Big snake.
That's cool.
Yes. It's been dated as early 2018. I'm sure a lot of people are going to be happy with that. I want to play this game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm pretty much on board. You know, it looks like you're going to have lots of fun cutting things in half and punching things to death. So, yay.
Cool. Detroit Become Human. Yeah. I'm very excited. David Cage makes games for me.
Yeah, he's both of your boyfriends.
Yeah, I have a reputation that he is my French boyfriend, David Cage.
Do you not like David Cage games, Alex?
Oh, I've never played them, and this looks awesome, but I've never actually got to play it. I've seen a bunch of Beyond Two Souls.
You should play Heavy Rain. It's awesome.
Yeah.
I have PS4 ports of Fahrenheit, Heavy Rain, and Beyond Two Souls.
Nice.
Fine. I have a long summer, Coleman.
I am going to make you play all of them. Let's stream them.
Fine. Let's do it.
Okay, we'll do that. So this looks like taken away from the Quantic Dreams experience that we usually get. It's a very similar game in the style of how it plays and how there's how the story works and stuff, and that there's different characters and branching storylines. But there seems to be more of a how your choices affect things feel to it. But the one that we were shown that you could be a very violent rebel or you could be very cautious and run away, that kind of thing. And these are all meant to, I'm gonna guess that they influence the multiple endings that will no doubtly happen in this game. But I am very excited. I love a Quantic Dreams game.
Yeah, same. I'm totally on board with this. I was when they first announced it, to be honest. But yeah, what they showed last night was kind of more of what I expected in terms of, I knew they were going to have different characters that you played and that it would be very branching storylines. Yeah, I'm totally on board, so hopefully this will be great. One thing that did disappoint me is I don't think they announced a date, did they?
No, they rarely do.
Just give me the game. I want it.
You cannot have it. You'll have it when it's ready. I have got to spray more polygons over my scenery.
Fine.
Okay. Bye, David Cage.
Bye, David Cage.
We got more on Spider-Man, and I am very happy for that. I love Spider-Man games. And
this looks so good. So good.
I was initially worried when they went, Spider-Man not done by Activision, because I know Activision made 3 good Spider-Man games and 100 bad ones, but they have a feel to them that I am used to and have been used to for, since I was 16, in fact. So when I saw the gameplay, and there are some stealth moments, but it's pretty much the same Spider-Man, I'm happy.
I think this might be my game of the show, actually. I think the presentation was fantastic. It looks beautiful. It hits all of those Spider-Man beats, like the sense of humour and the swinging through the city, and it just looked really fun. And all the sort of the way that the scene was like evolving and all the action that was happening around you I just thought was excellent. So yeah, very, very excited for this.
Yeah, I have to say, this is one of the games where I see, and I'm not entirely sure it's for me, but I can appreciate, the hell out of the awesome moments and how the environment is used and how it looks, and it looks awesome to move a Spider-Man, and I bet it feels awesome to play as Spider-Man. Yeah. It's just that feeling where you watch and it's almost effortless to swing from one building to another, and it feels like it's the easiest thing to do, and from how they were showing it, the Spider-Man does it, it feels like it would be to play it would be the same. So yeah, I can appreciate the hell out of it, and I'm actually tempted, even though this is really not my kind of game, I am very actually tempted to play it when it gets out.
Well, if you play it and you don't like it, but you still want to watch it, I'll guarantee you I'll start and finish that game in one sitting. So you feel free to watch me. It's fine. A little worried about the QuickTime events. There seems to be a lot of them, but we'll see. We'll see how that works out. Anyway, that is all of the PlayStation stuff we've gone over because I thought we'd go over anyway. It'd be fun.
Yeah.
There was a lot of stuff.
Yeah, to be honest, there was also a lot of little bits and pieces announced on pre-show, but, if we go over them, we'll be here for 2 hours.
Undertale's coming to Vita!
Yeah,
I'm so excited! I love Undertale!
Super hot PSVR, blah blah blah.
Oh,
Gran
yeah.
Turismo. No, wait, that wasn't Gran Turismo.
Yeah, Gran Turismo Sport, yeah.
If you have a PlayStation VR, a VR headset, and you're not sure about Superhot, I will tell you, I've been playing that on the Vive, and that is my favourite VR game now. It's so good.
Yeah, I heard it's amazing.
It's so good that I almost ripped my jeans playing it.
That's when that's the quality mark of a good VR game is when you rip clothing playing.
I almost ended up in the splits playing that game, avoiding bullets and stuff. I felt like Mila Jovovich and doing my Resident Evil stuff.
Mila Jovovich?
Is that her name?
No, Mila Jovovich.
Melia. Yeah, we'll just call her that. It's fine.
Jeff Jovovich.
Jeff
Jovovich.
Fine.
Anyway, right, that was PlayStation. We're done. I believe me and Diarmuid are doing a wrap-up of stuff because there are some minor things like Devolver Digital, plus Nintendo have a stream, but they're not doing a conference-type thing. They're doing the
usual Nintendo weird thing.
Well, yeah, last year they did a 2-hour stream of Pokemon and Zelda, so we didn't cover it because it was just 2 games. We might have the same issue this year. If they do surprise us and do a conference, we'll do a full coverage of it. But if not, then we'll just do a little wrap-up section towards the end. But anyway, that has been everything. Thank you, ladies, for jumping on and giving me a hand with this one. It's a pain in the ass getting up in the morning to record a podcast when you're used to doing it in the evening.
No, it's more a pain in the ass that we need air in this room.
Yeah, it's like we're in a sauna right now.
That's the other reason we've gone over, because I want you to suffer.
Thanks, man.
I mean, you can go this 2 ways. You can imagine a picture of 2 girls getting hot and sweaty, but then it's clearly not as sexy as you think it is.
It's not an attractive thing, I can assure you.
No.
And on that bombshell, more stuff after this noise. Finally, for the last segment of this huge mammoth E3 show, we're going to talk about Nintendo, who have had one of the shortest presentations other than Devolver Digital of E3. They called it a Nintendo Spotlight, and they went through a bunch of trailers and announcements, and we're going to talk about them now, but I am joined with Diarmuid once more.
Hello there.
And that's it. No one wanted to do this.
It was just us.
Yeah, we were the only people available at this time. Okay, so before we go into the meat of all the trailers and things, let's talk about the overall Spotlight itself. What did you think, Diarmuid?
I thought it was quite good. They touched on a lot more than I was expecting. So unlike kind of last year when they did basically that 2 games and that was it. And they just
a 2-hour live stream of Zelda and Pokemon Sun and Moon last year.
Exactly, yeah. So it was a bit of a non-event, really. But this year was much better. And similar to the previous directs they've been doing as well, they kind of chugged through the news very, very quickly.
Yeah.
And they hit on a number of different games. Like you said, it was one of the shortest press conferences events, and it was. But the amount of games they got through was as many, if not more, than some of the other press conferences as well. So it was quite impressive that they got through that many. And the games that were announced and brought up were really, really good.
It was a nice little breath of fresh air after a week, because when you get things of trailer starts without any sound, or someone fumbles their words, or the whitest YouTuber you've ever seen using gangster rap, that kind of thing. It's nice to just see pre-recorded, not live performance. Here's some trailers. We're done. We out. It was quite nice.
Although at the start, when Reggie was talking about fun and battling and fun and battles, I was like, Smash Brothers? And no, it was like, no, damn it. So close.
Okay, so the show kicked off with a promo for the Switch and a nice little intro from Reggie in his house that then dissolves into nothing, and he's in a field. Ooh. And then we got another look at Xenoblade Chronicles 2, which is one of those series that people really like and has some clout to it, but I can't get over the really weird dubbing.
The voice acting was bloody terrible in this, and we'll come on to terrible voice acting later as well, but in this particular one it was really bad. And then there was this weird bit where the male character touches the female character's chest area to light up
I'm in!
It was, what the hell is that? But anyway, other than that, it looks like a Xenoblade game.
Then we got a first look at Kirby. Well, a new Kirby game that's just called Kirby. That's a 4-player co-op battle platform brawler thing. Coming out next year. Yeah, it seems to have taken some cues from the likes of Castle Crashers and Little Big Planet and stuck Kirby on there. So I'm happy with that.
Yeah, very, very, very nice. It was nice and colourful, lots of kind of character to it. It looked good. Obviously, we need to see more to kind of judge it more fully, but yeah, that looked decent.
Checking in with the Pokemon Company, they reiterated that Pokken Tournament DX is coming out, and on the Switch version, it will contain brand new Pokemon that weren't seen in the Wii U version of the game. Whether they were seen in the arcade one, I have no idea, because we don't live in Japan.
This was probably, this was the weakest part of the conference for me, because they basically said two things one after the other that it's like, we're working on it, and nothing else. Like, no footage, no nothing. And the first one, as you mentioned, is a proper Pokemon game for the Switch. It felt like almost a response to the Direct. Like, people were like, and there's a Pokemon game coming to the Switch, and it's Pokken Tournament. Oh.
That's it, like some kind of backpedaling very quickly.
Yeah.
We are making a Pokemon game for the Switch. It is an RPG, don't worry.
Get there.
It may take us a year or a bit, but we'll make one, don't you worry. Yeah, so it was pretty cool that they admit that one's going on. They also made an announcement of the new Metroid Prime 4, which is in development for Switch.
This is what I mentioned. So, like, they just kind of said, and we're also making Metroid Prime 4. No footage, no nothing, but we're making it. It's coming.
Stop bugging us about the what was it called? Metroid Freedom Force on the 3DS or something. We're making an actual Metroid game. Don't worry. Although the Metroid Prime games, aren't they the first-person shooter type ones?
They are, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So there might still be people complaining that they're not Castle Metroidvania things. There's a first look for Yoshi, which takes some cues from Yoshi's Woolly World. Again, a little bit Little Big Planet-esque with the cardboard design, a little bit unfolded.
Yeah, it looked like there was like actual materials like paper bags and stuff that he was jumping onto, and different things that cardboard paper, and flipping the world around to see the other side like of this 2D plane to kind of continue your platforming. It looked interesting, and again, like Kirby, really colourful and bright and kind of, playable in that way. But yeah, it was a strange one, but it still looks good.
It's interesting. I'm going to wonder if there's some kind of story that takes him out of the Woolly world and brings him into the materials craft world or something to explain
Possibly.
that. Yeah, but that's coming out in 2018, and much like Kirby, they've just gone with the character name. It's just called Yoshi.
Yeah, that's a weird trend.
I'm looking forward to Samus and Donkey King Dedede. Yeah, just Dedede. That's the game I want. There's a new trailer for Fire Emblem Warriors, which showed us a bit more of the game and some really bad voice dubbing again.
Yes.
Along with a release date of fall 2017.
Yep, so that was good to see. Not a huge fan of those games myself, but at least, this year.
We got another look at the Skyrim Switch Edition, just to reiterate that if you do buy the Switch Edition of Skyrim, then you will be able to have the Master Sword and the Hyrulean Shield and the garb from Wind Waker.
Yes.
They said there will be more Nintendo surprises, but that's just the one they're leading with at the moment.
Yeah, I expect you'll see more before launch or around launch time.
And then that led it into an announcement of Zelda Breath of the Wild. They showed the trailer for all the DLC that's coming out, which is very similar to the trailer we'd seen before, because we've seen all this DLC.
Yeah.
We know what's coming. But they also opened it up with the look at the 2 expansions. This summer, it's the Master Trials, and then in the winter, it's going to be the Champion's Ballad.
So I think the Master Trials is what's going to include the Trial of the Sword, which is sort of like the Eventide Island section that's kind of custom made for the game, just kind of a difficult part of the game. Then there's the Hero's Path mode, which is built into that as well. All of this was kind of pre-announced. The new stuff was the Champion's Ballad stuff, which was the second DLC part, and they didn't really give many details on what that would involve, but they did say that there's going to be Champions Amiibos kind of coming out at the same time.
Yes.
And that they would be incorporated into those particular parts of the game as well.
Yeah, so it's 4 champions, the Zoran, the Goran, I forget what they're all called. But yeah, they'll all be usable with Amiibo. So I'm assuming that'll be like the Epona and the Wolf Link. If you tap them, then that character appears in the game to help you. But I believe also they said those characters they'll be available through DLC as well as Amiibo.
Yeah, something like that. I didn't quite make out what they were saying during that particular part, but yeah, it was something like that you wouldn't have to, I don't know, maybe it was some part of their functionality you wouldn't need the actual Amiibo to get. You could kind of get it through some sort of downloadable version as well.
Which I like the idea of that, because that's kind of the idea I wanted with the Amiibo. Here's, to ease the pain of buying DLC, here's an optional, you buy this toy, and this toy lets you use the DLC, because then you've got DLC and a toy. And Nintendo toys are usually quite expensive.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what I wanted. Also, Splatoon, they announced a bunch of invitationals that are kicking off at E3. So there's a Splatoon 2 Inkling Invitational, Pokken Tournament DX Invitational, and an ARMS Invitational. So I believe they'll be live streaming those if you want to go check them out.
Indeed, that'll be over this week. So yeah, that'll be worth possibly looking into, especially the ARMS one. I'm very interested in seeing that in a competitive kind of zone.
Yeah, I'm wondering if they show off any of the new Pokemon in Pokken Tournament DX, actually. I might have to check that out.
That would be, that might be good.
So I quite enjoyed when they did, was it 2 years ago or 3 years ago, they did the Super Smash Bros. Invitational. I really enjoyed that one. Also, we got another look at Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle, which is launching on August the 29th. I think we said enough about that on the Ubisoft conference.
Yeah.
I like the look of the game and the aesthetic, and I like the Rabbids, so, hey. Just not something
like
a man in his days admits. Yeah,
like
it's quite like the Minions as well, but hey. But the aesthetic of the game is very much, Tim put it as an XCOM Nintendo game.
Yeah.
Which it's going to be appealing to a lot of people, but I'm not a big strategy type guy, so I'm not going to be probably playing that one. I like the look of it though.
Yeah.
There's an announcement of Rocket League's coming to the Switch. It's going to have Nintendo-specific content. You'll be able to have Mario and Luigi hats for your cars. You will also have cars that are just available on the Switch. And there's going to be cross-network play. But do you know with what platforms, Diarmuid?
No, I didn't actually mention, but I assume it's going to be with PC and possibly PS4.
I'm going to tell you right now.
Uh-oh.
Because they did say cross-network play with other platforms. I reckon possibly PS4, PC.
Because I still don't think they've allowed it on the Xbox yet. I know they said that they were talking to them about it, about possibly letting them do that. Because I think you can do it with Xbox to PC, and you can do it with PC to PS4, but I don't think you can do it
so it might just be switched to PC. Always confused PC players.
Wait, does that guy have a Mario hat on his car?
If I remember that correctly, like the whole status of this was the Rocket League guys went, yep, we know how to do cross-network play between consoles. We suggest doing it between Xbox and PS4. Let us know when you're ready. We'll sort this out. Xbox took a while, but they came out and went, yeah, cool, we're ready. Get in touch with us, PlayStation. And PlayStation went quiet for about a month and then came out and go, we've always supported cross-play. We've done one of our Final Fantasy RPGs was cross-network play before the PS4 was even a thing. So that's the thing we'd done. But they didn't say yes or no, so I have no idea what's going to go on. I think it's just quiet, because that was over a year ago as well.
Yeah,
it's very quietly been petered out. And we topped off with another look at Super Mario Odyssey with some cool Mario Odyssey music, I thought.
Yeah, that was kind of interesting. It was a weird theme that they were going with, but it was cool music. And I liked the different gameplay things that they threw in. They had a cool section that was kind of like a link between worlds, where Mario was 2D on this kind of outside of a building jumping around. That was kind of cool.
Yeah, kind of a classic original Super Mario Bros. On the NES style, but
exactly.
on a 3D plane, which was interesting.
And then the other thing they seemed to do, or he seemed to be able to do, was throw his hat onto other characters, be they enemies or other NPCs, and then basically take over their bodies or something.
Yeah, it seems to be two different two different things. One is costumes. So we saw the Mariachi Mario, and then there was like a very quick flash of all these different costumes at the very end. But then the other one was he'd throw his haunted hat onto an enemy and then transform into that enemy, which was shown off at the start of the the trailer with a Tyrannosaurus Rex wearing a Mario hat with a little moustache. And I didn't spot the moustache at first and thought I was looking at the new Monster Hunter game. And then suddenly Mario, like his hat was on and Mario popped out. I'm like, okay, I see what you're doing here. But it was weird. Like, there was a mix of turning into Goombas and turning into Koopa Troopers and stuff, and then turning into realistic looking humans and T-Rexes.
That's just weird. That's still going to be... I don't think that's ever going to not be weird.
Yeah.
Really.
Once again, it's been said a million times now, but it harkens back to that weird time of Sonic games where Sonic lived in a human world, but there was no ever explanation for this. It was just like a cartoon hedgehog talking to humans, and we never knew why. And then it just stopped. But that was all the Nintendo stuff. I'm pretty positive on all the things that were shown. It wasn't a huge show. Again, that's kind of a breath of fresh air after so many big shows, having something quite easy to digest.
Yeah, I thought that was quite good. It worked pretty well for them. Obviously, like, they have these directs throughout the year, so before the show started, I wasn't expecting much to show up, but the fact that there was quite a lot of games announced and kind of updated was quite good.
Just quickly before we go as well, there were two other shows that I managed to catch. There was the Devolver Digital show, which was brilliant. This was less of a presentation because they only showed off two games, and it only went on for 15 minutes. But the whole thing is a very kind of Tim and Eric-esque, weird, bizarre sketch comedy, poking fun at things like microtransactions and pre-buying early access games and all this kind of stuff. And it goes very violent. It's very bizarre, but it's worth watching. We put it up on the site on BigRedBarrel.com in the video section if you want to check it out. But they did show off Ruiner, which is a fast combat game that has a kind of cyberpunk feel to it. And there was also Serious Sam's Bogus Detour, which, unlike other Serious Sam games, we've seen the Serious Sam like first person, third person, VR. This one's more top-down, 1-player to 4-player, online cooperative, 2D bizarreness, so that's worth checking out as well. But the show, just go check the show out. Nice quick appearance from Funhouse and Suda51 in there as well, but I won't spoil the Suda thing because it's just brilliant. There was also the PC Gamer Show, which we didn't know if we were going to be covering at all, and we're not really. We're just going to burn through a couple of things. The main highlights that I picked up from this were XCOM 2. There's going to be a DLC pack called War of the Chosen. This introduces 3 new champions, an assassin, a hunter, and a warlock. That's coming to PC, PS4, and Xbox One on the 29th of August. There's also another remake of Age of Empires called Age of Empires the Definitive Edition. It takes all the assets of the original game, improves them, puts it in 4K, AI improvements. They've added online multiplayer. So that's coming later this year, and there's a multiplayer beta that's coming as well. No actual official date yet, though. Total Warhammer 2 has 4 new factions, but they've only unveiled 3 of them so far. There's High Elves, Lizard Men, and Dark Elves. The 4th one will be detailed later at some point. Those are going to launch on the 28th of September. There was a trailer for BattleTech, which is currently in closed beta. That's worth checking out. PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds getting updated for the PC version, assuming the Xbox One version will follow when that releases.
So now knee-high walls won't be a problem in that game.
Yeah, climbing, vaulting obstacles, that's all going to be put in there. There's weather changes, modding's coming down the line as well, and there's going to be 2 new maps, one in Peru and the other one in the Drantic, I think they said. I may have misspelt that. Anyway, Ylands or Ylands, I'm not sure how you pronounce that one. It's a polygonal crafting, exploration, survival sandbox game. That looks pretty interesting. Go check that one out. There's a Steam Early Access coming. I don't know if I think they said within the month, but some point this year. Griftlands is a cartoon-like RPG, action RPG, which uses morality choices. That's worth checking out. Set for release late 2017. Or possibly early 2018, they said. And lastly, we saw Cliff Bleszinski's Lawbreakers. It's going to get its final closed beta on the 28th of June, and then they're aiming for a PC PlayStation 4 release on the 8th of August. And that is everything.
That is all. It is done.
That's Nintendo, Devolver Digital, and the PC Gamer Show as well. So, yeah, very, very short and sweet on this one. We had to get it down to 20 minutes for those 3 things, but That's only because the show is so goddamn huge as it is already. Been a good E3. Thank you for joining me again, Diarmuid.
No problem. It's been a pleasure.
So after this noise, then we're going to do the wrap-up.
This is our first year of bringing you to the very edge of your seats with the very best of what very games have to offer. And I am very, very proud to have you here on this very journey with me.
And that's your lot, dear listeners. That is the end of the show. Thank you so much for enjoying and getting through all that. It's been knackering for us. It's been lots of early mornings, lots of late nights, lots of editing involved for me. So thank you very much if you have got this far to the end. And I hope the E3's been as great for you with all the announcements and stuff as it has for us. Before I go, I just want to say thank you to the people that came on the show. I'll give out the Twitter handles for them as well. So first of all, I'll thank myself because I did all the editing. So you can follow me at @Coleman on Twitter. Also, thanks to Tim, BRB Tim on Twitter. Thanks to Alex, DustyTulip_. Thanks to Ryan, the Ryan Goodman. Thanks to Kev, Krelif. Thanks to Diarmuid, Diarmuid_S. And Bleezey, Bleezey Boy. Also, thank you to Jo, Pixel Ritual, who I think this was her first show along with Ryan as well. So big thank you to those two especially. Go give them a follow if you don't already on Twitter. Let them know what you thought about them on the show. Give your opinions to us on E3. What was your highlight of E3? What was your favourite show? What was your favourite game? Are you hyped for the Xbox One X? I know I certainly am. And you can do all those on the normal Twitter, at BigRedBarrel. You can go over to facebook.com/BigRedBarrel, or you can head on over to BigRedBarrel.com, jump on the forums and type in a few words and let us know as well. You can also go onto iTunes and give us a review. We like reviews. We like to read them. That is definitely a thing we can do. I want to say thank you to the people that did such tweets and such Facebook messages as well. So thank you to our lovely listeners on the forum, Stealthy Joe, on Twitter, Rob Evans, Andy Bynes, Mark Fawcett, and Nelly. And on Facebook, thank you to Laura Blade. And before we go, because I've just got to let you know, so you may have noticed this show is in fact early because of E3, this E3 special show, which means we won't be putting out our usual Friday episode. So there's no show on the 16th of June. But we will return on the 23rd of June, so you got a little bit of a wait without us. Hopefully the extra length in episode makes up for that. More than makes up, I'm sure. But because Tim's not here to do it, I will give a plug for Tabletop Tuesday at the Loading Bar in Dalston. Come to Tabletop Tuesday on the 20th of June. I'm not sure what our featured game is because I forgot to ask Tim before he left to go to Tabletop Tuesday. But make sure, look on BigRedBarrel.com. We update it with the new game anyway. Or go on the meetup group as well. Or Facebook. All those things. They usually have the tabletop information, so you can find out there. I think that's absolutely everything. So, this has been episode 248 of the Big Red Barrel UK podcast. Like I say, we return on the 23rd of June for episode 249. Then we've got to do 250, and we've still not made any plans. I have been Coleman. That has been Tim, Alex, Ryan, Diarmuid, Bleezey, Kev, and Joe. And until next week, dear listeners, goodbye.
You and your ears are quite welcome
for the podcasting goodness that you just heard.
Why not roll on over
to BigRedBarrel.com
for more podcasts,
news, reviews, and videos from the biggest, reddest site on the internet, BigRedBarrel.com.